Folks, you know this session as the Three Amigos. What we've done here is we've got an extra special guest who actually reached out and said, "Hey, I want to talk to the Three Amigos about what's going on." He put out a video about 3 weeks ago, or his Instagram live, excuse me, Instagram live, talking about getting to 5 rental properties as what 99% of the folks should do. This took me by shock because, of course, this young man has built a portfolio of over 8,000 units. He routinely interacts with Grant Cardone and lots of other heavy, heavy hitters. And of course, I am talking about the one and only Pace Morby. Pace Morby, how you doing, sir?
What's up, guys? Super excited to be here. I love your guys' content. I've been listening to it this morning, just kind of getting refreshed. And Michael Zuber and I have been friends for about 5 years. He's been always, from the moment I met him, one of the most gracious people I've ever met. So you guys definitely have a good friend in Michael. I'm grateful to be here. Just to clarify, I don't have 8,000 units. That sounds super gangster to have 8,000 units. I have 2,132 units. I've done
Oh,
8,000 transactions. So,
got it.
there's so many things I've done, from wholesaling to flipping to developing and all that kind of stuff. But what I currently have in the portfolio is 2,132. Why do I know that number? I know that number because you get called out. The bigger you get, the more people talk about you. And I ended up having to hire a federal investigator, somebody who used to work for the government. I hired this lady. I go, you go and investigate every claim I've made online, and I want you to go put it on your website. And so she's got a website, cardinal-creative.com is the domain she created. And she goes through and she verified all my tax returns. She verified all my claims. And as of today, it shows on her website that I have 2,132 units verified by a third party.
I like
Nice.
it. I like
Otherwise, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I'd be like, somewhere around 2,000, right?
There you go. There you go. Well, I love that. And again, what I'm going to do in this couple of hour conversation is I'm sure we'll talk about the big portfolio. We'll talk all about that. But I'm about growing the middle class. I want to grow the middle class. And I'm just going to say it right here, right now. Very, very few people, probably less than 1% of folks, will ever have over 100 units, let alone 2,000 units. So I want to rotate back, Pace, to that live that you did, where you talked about the importance of getting to 5. Why should 99% of folks get to 5? Why is that the right answer?
First and foremost, when you guys are listening to this, the average person watches a YouTube video for about 7 minutes. So let me get as much as I can into a 7-minute time frame as we possibly can, so you guys understand. Number one, I would write down, if you're new to this game, maybe you're at a couple of rentals, you need to write down the words that Shakespeare famously said, know thyself. You need to know yourself. And I'll tell you a time where I did not know myself. I was married, 23, 24 years old. My wife at the time, this marriage did not work out. And there's a big reason why it didn't, because I'm an entrepreneur. It's in something inside of me detests sitting at a desk. I will break out in hives. It's not I'm too good for this. I just don't think I'm smart enough, or there's something wrong with me. Okay. I have an allergic reaction to the point where I will literally break out in hives. So I had a wife. She says, I don't want to have kids. This is about 4 years into marriage, and I'm Mormon. So like, for somebody to tell a Mormon, hey, we're not going to have kids, I don't want to have kids, I'm like, what is wrong? What is wrong? What is wrong? And ultimately what I thought was the problem was that she didn't want to be with an entrepreneur, right? I was probably making $200,000 a year at the time, working and running my own business, but it just was like, one day I'd have 40 grand in the bank. The next day I'd have, $400 in the bank, right? Type of thing. And I grew up in that environment. So it wasn't different for me. It was just the same. I was doing what I had seen. Well, it got so bad that I decided, you know what? I'm going to appease her. I'm going to make sure she's happy, because happy life equals a happy wife, right? So I'm going, all right, I'm going to go create that happy wife. I'm going to do what she says, and I'm going to go listen to this. And she never told me to get a job necessarily, but she would hint at things at date night. She would say stuff like, well, if it was just a little bit more stable. And I'm like, we live in a 4,000 square foot house. You're 23 years old. You choose what car you drive in the morning, your Volkswagen Bug or your Volkswagen Passat. What are we talking about here? Right? You're in the 1%. What? So I stopped everything I was doing and I went and got a job at GoDaddy. I'm 23 years old. I go get this job. I go through the 2-week training, And I'm like, wow, all right, this is pretty good. I see a couple of people in the executive accounts department that are working for like GM and Ford. And, these big companies are buying hundreds of thousands of domains, quite literally. And if you get into that department, you can make $500,000 a year at GoDaddy. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll reprogram my brain. I'll do all these things. I go through the 2-week training. My first day of work starts. I sit down at my desk. I literally sit down and I go, I can't do this. I got up, I walked out, I called my now ex-wife and I said, if you want me to be somebody who I'm not, you need to marry somebody else. And the fact that I caught myself slipping to that degree that I knew who I was before I went and took that job, but I still went and did that just to make her happy. I said, I'm not on this planet to make her happy. I'm on this planet to find the right person. And ultimately, I did find the right person. I found a woman who grew up in an entrepreneur's household. So my wife does not think different. My wife would think it would be weird if I had a 9-to-5 job. And I wish somebody told me that when I was in my teens, like, hey, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, find a woman who grew up in an entrepreneur's household. Like before you even start checking the box on red hair, blonde hair, brunette, before you check any of those boxes, check the box of, did she grow up around an entrepreneur? And I'm so grateful and lucky that I married a woman that has that about her, because I know myself. Yet most of the people I meet on a daily basis are not that. Most, if not almost 99.9%. And there's a reason. Like, how many real estate influencers could we actually name off the top of our heads? How many could we name? Maybe 20.
Dozens.
Yeah, dozens, right? So you've got dozens of people that have become like influencer status, which are, I just call them the lunatics, right? They are the freaking lunatics. And what their job is, at the end of the day, I've dissected this 1,000 times. Their job is to show you what is possible, not what you should do. It's just what is possible, right? And so for me, a lot of people look at me, and the more I talk about what I'm doing, people assume that that's what I think people should do.
Right.
And I get DMs, like, this is where that Instagram live came from that Michael caught me on, was I'm on my DMs every morning, catching up, communicating with people on flights. I'll catch up and all that stuff. And this guy goes, I don't think I'll ever get to your status. And I replied back and I say, thank God that you will not. Thank God. And I'm like, man, why do you think that? I said, why do you think that that's the path? He goes, because that's what you did. I'm like, gosh, dang, I guess I got to talk about this every single day. I made my YouTube channel for one reason. I know Michael Zuber and I, we've talked about this in the past, reasons behind starting your YouTube channel. Probably one of the biggest reasons for all you guys is that, one, you have the heart to serve. That's number one. Number two, you are talking to yourself 10 years ago, 5 years ago, right? Like you're wishing that you could put it in a time capsule, send it to yourself 10 years ago and go, this is what I wish I knew, right? There's all of those things. The other layer is that you get so many questions in your regular life. You're like, man, I need to create a duplicate of myself that I can send videos to people so I don't have to have the same conversation 1,000 times, right? And there's so few people that will ever get to that status. So few people that will ever get to that status. But I created my YouTube channel because I was in my local market. I was getting big. This is about 8 years ago, 7 years ago, to the point where on my Friday meetups, I would have people fly from other countries to come to my meetups in Phoenix, Arizona, like literally Portugal. This guy comes and flies from Portugal. And I'm like, hey, man, how long have you been in the United States? He goes, 45 minutes. I just landed. I'm like, oh, cool. But how long have you lived in the United States? Oh, I don't live in the United States. I literally came from Portugal to go to your meetup. I'm like, what the freak?
Yeah.
So I had this demand, or I had a demand of people asking me. And what would happen in my local market is that men are very jealous, right? Men are very, very jealous human beings. Women don't typically have this trait about them, but I would have men in my local market would take shots at me, right? Like, I go, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a YouTube channel, and literally every house that I ever talk about, I will either physically be in front of the house, or I will give you the address of that house, and I will put the settlement statements, and I will put all of everything down in the description below that you can download and you can go through and verify all of my numbers. And that's how my YouTube channel started 4 years ago. And what's funny is you still get people that make comments on my YouTube channel like, oh, scammer. I'm like, bro, I literally have 4,000 videos on this YouTube channel, and over 1,000 of them are in front of a property of me literally saying 123 Main Street, here's the house, let's walk through it, here's the settlement statements, close with a closing attorney or a title company, here's my title policy, here's my recording documents. Here's all of these things. And still somebody will still say scam. Now, what's sad about it is that, Michael, if you could, all of you guys, if you guys could get everybody in your audience to download every YouTube video and put on a microchip, insert it in their brain, their whole entire lives would change. But the chances of them ever watching 1% of 1% of your content is almost impossible. And so what has happened is people just look at what is said to me when I get introduced on stage, which is, oh, this guy got $500 million in real estate. I'm like, can we like not introduce me that way? Because now people are going to think that that's the path. It's not the path. It really is not the path. Yeah. And so I did this Instagram Live. Sadly, Instagram Lives are like the dumbest content you could ever make because it dies the next day. Like nobody goes back and watches, right? And so when you guys replied to it, I was like, oh, this would be a great way to create some content with these boys and make it last forever and put it on record. I've always had the belief that most people should be to 5 to 20 rentals and be done. And be done. Agreed. Right? I'm just not that person. And there's so many diverse ways to be successful in real estate. And I'll tell you, that is the literal hardest part of real estate is there's too many ways to win.
Yep.
Agreed. Okay. Last thing I'll say, and I'll shut my mouth. I've got 700 people here in Montana. I'm in Montana for the summer. And I do this thing called community camp, and we all converge on Montana. We go visit, you know, parks, like RV parks and real estate of mine. And then we go hang out at Glacier National Park, whatever. Yesterday, we're at my RV park. And I go, oh, I'm going to be talking to Michael Zuber. Dang, I didn't even think about this. That one RV park is a job killer. Meaning you buy one RV park, you do one deal in your entire life. That thing nets me 21 grand a month, net. Yep. I don't even need one single family house. I need one deal. And 99% of people, I'm telling, I've got 700 people at my RV park and I've got a megaphone. I go, how many people would rather just do one RV park versus go get 20 rentals or, you know, one mid-sized multifamily property? And everybody's like, me. Because I know that most people, I'll tell you right now, if everybody could do this exact thing, collect a check, sit down, watch TV, you know, be with their kids all day long for the most part. Like, you know, there's a limit on how much you can spend time with your kids. You know, you got to go out and create a blueprint for them. You got to be successful if you want your kids to be successful. But 99% of people would be like, just give me 20 grand a month and tell me I don't have to work. And that's the path I would choose to go down. And I know that. And I think the hard thing about that is that people had a hard time raising their hand at the RV park because they go, wait, that is admitting defeat. That's admitting that I don't want to keep building this empire. And I don't want to be a Grant Cardone or a Pace Morby or a Ken McElroy, or that means I'm quitting. And so I wanted to say to everybody in the audience today that, guys, it's not quitting. It's just triumphing over your individual goals. Instead of you competing against me, you're just competing against yourself. And so I watch these people go, oh, I want to say yes, but Pace has 2,132 units. He would think that I'm thinking small. And therefore I don't even want to, you can see them like the urge for them to raise their hand, like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. 20 grand a month on one deal. Right. So for me, my true belief is that most people need one good deal, like a small, mid-sized multifamily deal, or an RV park, or one of my mobile home parks would quit. I would take one of my mobile home parks in Yuma, Arizona, and compare it to somebody else's 50 single family home portfolio, and it would trump it. And it's one deal. Yeah. And guess what? I didn't have to cold call. I didn't have to go out and knock doors. I didn't have to send postcards. I didn't have to negotiate. I didn't have to do any of that. A wholesaler brought that deal to me. And so there's so many people in the audience going, but where do I find the deal? I'm like, guys, you don't need to be an acquisition person. You don't even need to learn contracts. You don't need to learn transaction coordination. You don't need to learn any of those things. Like literally, if you're just like, I want to make 20 grand a month net, you could just buy deals from wholesalers and real estate agents for the next 5 years, or one deal in the next 24 months, do your due diligence, learn how to underwrite, all that kind of stuff. And you're done. You could do one and done. And people need to understand that. And I think that the reason why people need mentors like yourself is because what you guys should be good at, I know Michael is good at this, you two other gentlemen, I assume you are, is being able to have the gift of sight. Meaning, You look at the individual that's in your mentorship and you see their age, you see their skill sets, you see their desires, and you give them a detailed plan based on who they are rather than, nope, this is the cookie cutter way to go. And this is exactly how it should be done. And right. And what I've encountered is about 26 different avatars in real estate and 26 different ways for people to find deals and get their hands on transactions, 26 different ways. And if people don't know those avatars, they just assume whoever they're listening to is disagreeing with somebody else on a different YouTube channel when we aren't. There's just so many ways to win that it gets confusing, right? Like all four of us have found our deals all four different ways. We've acquired our deals all four different ways. I'm allergic to banks. I don't want to go through a bank. I've been doing sub-2 for 11 years and seller finance for 11 years. I don't see sub-2 or seller financing ever going away in the sense of how many deals I can collectively get. Yet some of you guys love banks and you do go through banks and it works for you, right? And so the audience member goes, but who should I listen to? Both.
Yeah.
But you should stop. You should stop and know thyself and dissect yourself and look inward, stop looking outward, right? If that makes sense. So sorry, that was a big, long 14-minute rant. I apologize.
No, I mean, we're going to go there now because I think that's a lot of the challenges. Because again, we all interact with hundreds, if not thousands of people a week in our communities. And a lot of it is know thyself, right? They get attracted to you because something you've said or your experience they relate to, right? That's the connection, right? If you're an entrepreneur and that's how you're wired, you're not going to like Mike Zuber. He's allergic to that shit. He thinks it's risky and scary. And, I get hives even thinking about making payroll. I mean, you kidding me? You want to be.
Meanwhile, I got $500,000 in payroll every 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. That would freak me out. Pace couldn't handle it, sitting at a desk for, a day after training. Just that's why people got to find their person. And the first thing when I think about know thyself is, and again, this is so important. You need to know who not to listen to, right? Because one of the things that you talked about, Pace, and we'll go to Matt and Dion here in a minute, is I think a lot of people, like you say, there's lots of ways to do this thing, but there's also lots of different voices. Part of the game is figuring out who you're going to listen to and who you're going to ignore, because you don't need all of that noise in your head. That's one of the things I talk about a buy box, because again, it's permission to look and permission to ignore. Dion, we'll go to you here. What was important in all of that? What do you want to talk about?
So actually, I've been sitting here for those 14 minutes trying to figure out how do I say anything without being insulting to everybody that I'm here with today. I'm gonna do my best.
You're not really thinking about that.
Why start now, Dion?
Yeah,
I know. Why change? So I like to watch guys like Pace and Zuber and Matt and the guys you named, like McElroy and Cardone. And I've watched Bigger Pockets for the Brandons and the David Turners and everything. And I've had to be really careful not to get any of you on me, because you guys are so different than I am. Right. So Zuber, we're W-2 guys. I've been a Marine, a cop, a truck driver, teach how to drive trucks. I've tried entrepreneurial stuff, failed both times, don't want to do it. Don't like it. All of my deals are from the MLS. Conventional lending. I've never done subject to FHA. I've not even used my own VA loan. I just want a conventional bank loan on my properties and then never think about them again unless the rates go down far enough for me to think, oh, I could save some money. I don't care about paying them off. I've never done creative financing. I've just even struggled with the Three Amigos. There was a period of time where I've never done a home equity line of credit. I've never done a cash out refinance. I've never sold a 1031. I save up a down payment. I buy a property that's going to make more than it costs. I save it up and do it again. It took 10 years to go from massive debt to never having to. I've been retired now for 2 years. I can't tell people this is what you should do. Like, I scuba dive everywhere I want. I go to whatever country I want. The money rolls in more than I need. But I don't need that growth of my business is growing thing that seems like a lot of people like the Cardones have. Like, he's started with single family houses, and then he says, if it doesn't have 13 or 16 units, don't talk to me about it. And I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want a 10 unit. I want duplexes that are at least 10 miles apart, so a base or a port or something can close or go on strike and I don't lose all my tenants. I have one property impacted. But I watch all of you guys because I learned something from each person that benefits some small part of what I'm doing. I don't think I've copied anybody that I've named. I don't know of anybody else that goes, just go to the MLS, just work, save a down payment, give yourself that decade, and you'll have this, like Coach Carson. Okay, I found the guy. Small and mighty investor. Have a small portfolio, have freedom for your life. That's who I am. But I made it to 40 without ever owning a rental or having $1,000 in the bank, right? I was just that guy that just was going to work until he died. And then I found content of people who are doing these crazy, amazing things. And I thought, I don't want any of that, but I want the freedom that comes from that. And it's really nice to hear guys like Pace and Zuber. I mean, your book, One Rental at a Time, you have over 100 rental units, but you're just like, get to 4 all the way through your first book. It's just get to 4, because then you get a couple things. Your first goal, if I have 4, pay them off by the time I retire, retirement's better. Maybe it's get to 4, find out I like this. I'll buy 8 properties, have 18 units, make a couple $100,000 a year in profit. And I wouldn't have got there if I didn't get to those first 4. But then there's also guys out there like Millennial Mike that are going to go, okay, I got to 4. Where's 40? Where's the 400? How's the next growth? And that's his personality is going to take off that way. And I think it's great because each person that we can watch, as long as we avoid the crash bros, because that'll get on you too. But each person that you watch shows you that it's possible from a possible background that you could have. You might have the entrepreneurial background, don't want a W-2. So Pace is going to go, here's how you can do money if you don't like banks or don't need banks. I could go, okay, if you're working full-time, raising 3 kids, you're super lazy. Here's how you buy rental properties. And Matt with his control freak, I'm going to do everything, all the turnovers myself. I'm going to self-manage all this. I'm going to do it all local here. And I'm going to grow this massive portfolio while working full-time, having 5 kids or 10 kids or whatever you got now, under 5. It feels like 10 when you're there. But and it's possible to do that. And that's why I think there's so many different places to get your content from, and then narrow down to what's going to work for your strategy.
Absolutely.
Matt, you actually kind of split the difference, right? I think you obviously had a W-2, but you are entrepreneurial. Certainly among the 3 amigos, you lean that way the hardest. Dion and I are like, no chance.
Sure.
You know, what kind of struck you in what Pace shared earlier?
I mean, you know, who would have thought a guy that dropped out of the 9th grade had a trouble with authority? Who would have thought that would happen? You know, so yeah, I mean, a 9th grade dropout, you learn real quickly to be resourceful. And that's one of the things I identify with, you know, with Pace is there's no, it's just, how do I get to yes? How do I get across the chasm? And as an entrepreneur, that's the biggest thing you need is the ability to problem solve quickly. You can be wrong, but you can't stay wrong. And that's what grows you wealthy. And I think that, you know, one of the things that Pace said that really, you know, kind of resonates with me is you've got the, you know, couple dozen, you know, guys around Pace's level that talk about how they do it and how they invest. And he was talking about how they focus on what's possible. And I think what we like to do is we like to kind of step away from not what's possible, but I like to deal in the what's probable. So while people get to watch the Cardones and get to watch the Paces, that's possible. But that chasm is wide, that chasm is deep, that chasm is dangerous, and many will fail. And you might be okay with that. You might be one of those whack job entrepreneurs like me, or clearly like what Pace does. You might be one of those guys where that's your blood flow every morning. And you're like, that's how I feed. That's what I feed off of. And I think for me, it was trying to be on the level of, sure, I've got 150 units. I've got 52 buildings. You do single families. I can't do single families. They don't cash flow. But it's like starting to dissect what's right for you, what's right for your market. And so I believe in that intentional, the unintentional landlord, the aggressive unintentional landlord, which is house hacking. Did it 9 times in 13 years. I couldn't have climbed the ladder without it. Could not have done it. Fannie and Freddie shut me off. I wasn't smart enough to think of sub 2. I wasn't smart enough to think of seller financing. Those were things that no one had really done 15 years ago and 17 years ago when I was starting my Jersey. They were much fewer and further between. So I think it really comes down to that, yes, having that entrepreneurial spirit, but I think it comes down to doing one deal, doing it right, learning from your mistakes, and then trying to replicate the best part of that deal. Yeah. And so I haven't done 100 different deals. I've done one after the next, and I've just not said yet, I'm good. I will eventually say I'm good, but not yet. And so that's where I think that that's what people can learn from most is it's about doing and understanding yourself, getting the experience. There's no better way to do it than a house hack. You get into it, you live in it, you're providing your own housing, you get to see what tenant interactions like, fixing things is like, all of that stuff then becomes, holy cow, a year later, I can't believe how much more I know. I know how to restart a furnace now. I know how to flip a breaker. I know how to, fix a leak. I know how to do these things. And you get all of that experience when you get to be, unless you're young, but he can still do them. But you get all of that type of experience, when you're living in it. So yeah, I think one of the things that's most important that Pace said was, they focus on what's possible and we manage and teach in what's probable.
Yeah.
Here's how you need to implement this.
One of the things I wanted
to be clear on that, I talk what's possible on my YouTube channel. Right?
Yeah, sure. Of course.
And I didn't build a community of 20,000 people by talking about what's possible. I talk about what's probable, and what's different about the way that I educate is that I understand that people on YouTube do not pay attention.
Yeah.
They don't pay attention, right? The attention span of an Instagram reel, a TikTok, whatever, all these short form videos, you'll be lucky to get people over to your YouTube channel. Then the people that get on your YouTube channel, you're lucky to get them to listen to longer than 7 minutes. Sure. Look at the analytics. It's the average YouTube video is 7 minutes long. Why? Because they weren't in a place that they were committed to sit down, take notes, etc. So what is an amplified level of education? Usually a webinar. They'll listen longer. The average webinar goes on about 45 minutes. And the average webinar is like an hour and a half. Most people stick around for 45 minutes. So it's like, okay, well, there's an elevated thing. Somebody committed to the time, they put it on their calendar. People have limited time. So they're going to show up and they're going to pay attention for 45 minutes. So you can then give a little bit more education, a little bit more breadth to what you couldn't do on a YouTube video, right? And what I want to say to people listening to this, because this will end up on YouTube, YouTube becomes a waste of your time after about 30 days. YouTube is there to inspire you to take action. And if you are still on YouTube 2 years later and you haven't hired one of these guys as a mentor, just put your face right in front of a mirror and smack yourself, because you have not committed to anything. You haven't put it on your calendar. You haven't said, I'm going to sit down and take notes. You haven't done any of those things. And then more importantly, it's you, yourself, and you. Right? You're an isolated island. You have no help. You have no feedback. There's no positive or negative feedback loop. And so you just continue to consume YouTube content after YouTube content, averaging 7 minutes at a time, when most of the time people's intro to their YouTube video is 2.5 minutes. So you really got 5.5 freaking minutes or 4.5 freaking minutes of somebody actually building up to their point before you go, oh, Ryan Pineda has a suggested video over here. Let me go, Pace Morby has a suggested video over here. And you get lost, right? It's a big thing. But once you go into, hey, I've paid for a thing, I'm committed to this thing, right? People pay attention to what they pay for. I have the Costco experience. I've paid for a thing. I'm in a higher level environment with higher level people. And you now can choose a path. So for us, when somebody comes into my community, they choose a path with the help of a dedicated MSA, a member success advisor. So somebody gets to know them. We have them take a personality test that takes about 5 minutes in the beginning. We start identifying, we give them a 90-day game plan on a very specific thing. I teach a lot of wholesale. I think a lot of people like me should do wholesale. Not one of you 3 guys should ever do wholesale in your life. Wholesale is, now, can you buy deals from wholesalers? Of course.
All the time.
Collaborate with them and love on them and never, ever. And I want to get to something really salacious here in a second, because I want to build up to something that I think is really frustrating about this industry. David Green's comments about Michael Zuber. I want to get to that in a second. I want to say logically why that stuff happens in this industry. Okay. So you guys understand the elevated experience. It's like short form. Maybe you get some people on your mid-size stuff. Maybe you get some people on your webinars. Then you get people that are committed to your community and they're in. Guess what the time frame is that they're going to pay attention to your mentorship? It's about 7 total hours over 30 days. If you can't get them to get some traction, they then dissipate. You guys have it, right? You have people that join your thing. They take a little bit of action, but they didn't get traction. And so they just slowly go back to their old ways of doing things and their old habits. And that's a really hard thing. However, their likelihood of success is 1,000 times stronger than their likelihood of success on YouTube. And so you've done a great positive service to the community, to the real estate industry, which is awesome. Now, I collaborate. I've done deals with agents. I've done deals with probate attorneys, done deals with real estate attorneys, financial advisors, wholesalers like crazy. I was direct to seller for a very, very long time. I'm one of the best people to go into a living room and negotiate a house. That's not any one of you three guys. So what happens is people will listen to all four of us and they go, okay, well, are they arguing of what's better or what's worse? Absolutely freaking not. Absolutely not. The reality is I need all three of these guys in my world. Why? Because you guys are buyers of my deals. If I am a wholesaler, right, I need buyers to buy my deal so I can make a $10,000 or $15,000 assignment fee and assign it to somebody like you guys who are stable, consistent buyers, and you're going to be around in 20 years. In fact, you guys are one of the pillars of what a wholesaler needs in their entire business to be successful. And so when people go, oh, they're lazy and they're thinking small, right? Because I wrote this down. If Grant Cardone was on this podcast right now, he'd say, hey, Dion, you ever going to grow up and be a man?
Yeah, I would.
He would. He'd say,
He would.
really? Okay, so you stop growing. You stop challenging yourself. You stop this. When are you going to grow up and be a man? And then you go, what I loved what you said is you said, I don't want to get any of your guys' schmutz on me. I don't want to stand next to a muddy dog because that muddy dog's going to shake and I'm going to get the shrapnel and then I become muddy. And you start thinking, wait, maybe I am thinking small. The reality is here, let's figure out like, what is the 1% of the 1%? The 1% of the 1%, you're in it, Dion. There's no possible way you've ever thought small, bro. Okay. Grant Cardone, why does Grant Cardone do what he does? I'm very good friends with him. I have dinner with him. He speaks on my stages. I think he's one of the most genius men I've ever met in my life. People criticize him. Why? Because when you're close to a human being, you find out that they're a human being and it's easy to become their friend. When you're not close to them, it's easy to take shots at them. And instead of going to the industry and saying, here's how I provide value, come and listen to me. This is how I will individually provide value, right? I will do this. I will talk about this. Here's my unique take. Da, 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 da. Small men criticize bigger men because they don't understand how to provide real value. And here's what I mean by that. I look at all the influencers in the industry and they don't understand that the industry needs all of us because we all have different pathways and different gateways to success. And that's the coolest thing about real estate is that there's so many freaking ways to succeed, right? I'll bring up Heather Blankenship for a second. Heather Blankenship, good friend of mine. I don't know if you've had her on your show, Zuber, have you?
Yeah, once.
She's gangster, right? She has like 4 RV parks and she makes 30, 40 grand a month in net. And she runs a very tight, she focuses on women who want to own RV parks. I'm like, that is what most coaches should be doing, is like finding and identifying that small individual. What Cardone does, okay? Cardone, from a marketing perspective and I'm responsible for 1,200 employees perspective, because he has a lot, like over 1,000 employees. He has a responsibility to be a very loud megaphone and a very loud billboard to drive eyeballs to his product. Do I get pissed off at Ronald McDonald for trying to sell hamburgers? No. Do I get pissed off at, Dairy Queen for putting a big bright sign out front of their spot? No. Do I get pissed off at Walmart because they choose the right colors of blue, which means trust, and yellow, which means excitement? They're preying on human psyche? Absolutely not. I understand the game and I'm not a bitch. Okay. And by the way, this is no reflection on any of you guys. I'm building up to my ultimate point. And so when I watch people criticize a Grant Cardone, for example, I'm like, you just don't know him. And so it's easy to take a shot at him. And instead of saying, wow, I don't like this guy because of X, Y, and Z, which here's what I hear. I translate in my mind of, I don't provide value and this guy threatens me and I don't know what to say about this guy besides criticize him. And if we could fix that in this industry, right? If we could fix like David Green's gut reaction of, ooh, Michael Zuber is a threat. And I'm friends with David Green. So when he hears this, I'm sure somebody's going to send this to him and he's going to send it. I've caught David Green. I honestly, out of everybody in the real estate influence industry, we all have a responsibility to uplift each other and like level out our disagreements in private. That's what leaders do. This should be a very positive industry. David Green made a comment about a year and a half ago on bigger pockets. You would say he has an elevated sense of responsibility when he's on the biggest platform of real estate. And he says, yeah, wholesaling is basically illegal. And I didn't mince my words. He says it's beyond gray. And I don't know why any real estate or any homeowner would ever benefit by selling to a wholesaler, they will always make more money with a real estate agent. And I'm like, man, you just criticized about 500,000 people's livelihood. And more importantly, people that watch Bigger Pockets for guidance, you just criticize an entire freaking segment of the industry. Why? Because David Green, I'm looking at you, David Green. I love you. I appreciate you and what you've done for the industry, but this is the kind of crap that needs to stop. You've never done deals with wholesalers, and you've never been in a homeowner's house that had a house listed with a real estate agent twice, and the agent couldn't sell that house. The seller's in foreclosure, and somebody like me,
That's right,
shows up at that lady's house and saves her from foreclosure. And then I go put it on my YouTube channel. Like, I've got my most recent one was a lady named Sherilyn. I went to her house. She was listed twice. She had 2 agents fail to get her house sold. I come along, buy her house. She's crying in her testimonial. I put it on YouTube, and I'm like, really? 2 agents couldn't solve this person's problem. A non-licensed wholesaler did this deal. So when people like a David Green take pot shots at other people in the industry, I'm like, David, you need to understand, killing everybody else's fish doesn't make you catch more fish. Okay? You need to understand, like, for example, I'll go fish, and I'll be on the same boat, 2 guys on the same boat, we're fly fishing. I will choose a completely different fly than my counterpart, because we're testing, like, what lure is going to catch what fish, right? And if I want to catch a whitefish, I get I have a bait that will sink down to the bottom of the river. If I want to catch a trout, I'm landing a fly on top of the water. What David Green does when he makes those comments is he says, well, I want to catch more whitefish. Okay, cool, David. Then lean into what you're really good at and provide value to the marketplace, and don't do anything else. What he does is he goes and kills all the rainbow trout, thinking by killing the rainbow trout, which is not even his audience, it's going to make him catch more fish at the bottom of the river. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And instead of going, hey, Michael Zuber provides a lot of value to the industry, and he does it in a lane that I'm not specifically good at, kudos to him. I want to collaborate with that guy because I might learn a thing or two. What he says is, how do I make myself look better? Is instead of me learning how to create bricks and build my own castle, I'm going to go pull bricks out of Michael Zuber's castle and build my castle.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the worst parts of this industry. And I've pleaded with people at the top, guys, we need to love on each other, because it creates an industry of people that are loving on each other and complimenting each other. Wholesalers compliment you. Real estate agents compliment you. Probate attorneys compliment you. People that have a 9-to-5 mentality compliment me. And we all collaborate and work with each other, but you see people with these criticisms. And I'll tell you why, and I'll shut my mouth. I'll tell you why this is really hard for the individual, right, that's watching this. Because they were told what to do, what not to do, why to do it. They were told when they were young. Like, think about this. You ever walk your child from your car in a Target parking lot to the Target front door and hold their hand? You ever done that?
Of course.
Okay. Next time this happens, Michael, whether it's your grandchildren or anybody else, pay attention to your hand. If you have a 2-year-old child, 3-year-old child, and they're holding your hand, you will guide them with your hand.
Sure.
Oh, hey, there's a car. Push over here. And you will push your child. Has anybody done this? Raise your hand if you've done this.
It's usually the ear, but yeah, sure.
Okay, I like the ear too. The ear works too.
It's faster. Yeah.
So whether it's spoken or unspoken, we tell our children, just like our parents told us, what to do, when to do it, why to do it. Don't do that. Don't. Then you get into school, it's worse. You get into high school, it's way worse. Then you get into college, and it's way, way, way worse. And then the ultimate epitome is you go to a 9-to-5 job and they go, this is your job description. This is who you are. This is what you do. And this is what you don't do. This is when you take your job. This is when you show up. This is when you take your lunch break. This is when you do this, this, and this. We all need 9-to-5 people. 95% of people on the planet probably have that mentality. And that's amazing. It's why Dave Ramsey crushes it, because he sells fear to the 9-to-5. Right? And they all need it, by the way. Dave Ramsey provides tremendous value to a massive group of people for a very significant amount of time until they get out of that, debt world. But what happens is now when people go, all right, well, now I'm going to start doing something for myself. I'm 30, I'm 40, right? Like you start going, all right, man, this 9-to-5 job ain't going to do it. And my 401k ain't going to do it. I have to have a side hustle. Good luck. You've now gone 40 years of your life having literally everybody tell you what to do for the most part. And now you have to go out into a world and you have to make a decision on your own. And that is why people are so easily swayed from one YouTube video to another YouTube video to another YouTube video, because these people of authority, right? Because they're so used to listening to authoritative figures that they go, oh, well, maybe Ryan Pineda is right. Maybe Jamil Damji is right. Maybe Brent Daniels is right. Maybe Michael Zuber, Cardone, this, and then they get lost.
Yep.
The best thing that they can do, okay? Dion, you said it really well. Your vibe should attract your tribe. Okay. So who you are, like Michael Zuber attracts a very specific type of people, right? I'll give you a good example. Jamil Damji, Indian, single guy from Canada. Do you think he attracts the same people as I am? Married, 4 children, white dude from America. No, we're literally throwing out completely different lures into the same river. I'm throwing out, trying to catch whitefish, and he's trying to catch rainbow trout. We are just on the same boat looking at each other going, hey, man, congrats. Hey, man, congrats. Hey, let me help you. Let me help you. All about collaboration. And so the hard thing for the audience member is to stop and go, who is my person? Who is the person I want to learn from for the next 2 years or 3 years? And who do I want to,
Agreed.
And it is so hard for that 9-to-5 person to break away from just tell me what to do mentality to I can make this decision on my own. And
yeah,
I'm done. But my thing is the industry is scary because you get badasses. Like think about how hard it is and how much anxiety you go through to put your words on forever records. That's what YouTube is. It's a forever record. So what comes out of my mouth, somebody's going to hold against me for the rest of my life. That takes courage. That takes all sorts of stuff. So think about the quality or the type of people, not the quality, but the type of person that is attracted to doing that. They're badasses. And when they're badasses, they have authority and they speak with confidence, which only then confuses the audience even more, right? And so think about if every influencer, let's say that there's 200 of them. If every single influencer is like, oh, you want to do that? Go to that person. Oh, you want to do that? Go to that person. Instead of like, oh, that person's wrong. They're lazy. How would our industry change? Now, I know I keep saying this is my last thing, but to cap the Cardone thing, I'm great friends with Cardone, like I said, and I have these great conversations with him and I watch how he operates. What's Grant's responsibility? And by the way, Grant says to me, he said, oh, guys, this is so good for you guys. Okay. You won't do this. I'm currently doing this. But when Grant told me this, I go, oh my gosh, this is so genius. It's so interesting. Less than 1% of your YouTube audience will ever hire you as a mentor, ever give you money for any service or anything whatsoever. Why? Is it because you suck at storytelling? Is it because you're not salacious enough? Is it because you're not great at marketing? Maybe there's a little bit of that. But overall, that's not the reason why. The number one reason why somebody won't buy your thing, whatever that thing may be, is because they don't believe in
themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
99%. So think about it, right, Matt and Dion?
Yeah.
People will go buy a mentorship. They don't take action with it. Then the next mentorship pops up and they go, oh, another scam artist. Bitch! That person's not a scam artist. You just didn't do shit with it. What are you talking about? Take some accountability. Oh, you don't. That's the problem with human beings. They don't take accountability and they don't say, I'm the one that screwed that up. And so what happens is mentorships get a bad name because people don't take action, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay. So Grant says 99% of people in my audience will never buy a thing from me because they don't believe in themselves. Because here's what they're doing. They're going, I'm going to buy this thing from you. I'm going to get into your presence. I'm going to show you. Because really, what is a mentorship fee? In my mind, it's a filtering fee for people that are committed to listen to what I have to say. Because if I'm going to open my mouth, you better be committed because I'm not going to waste it. I'd rather be doing anything else, mowing my lawn, having my daughter sit on my lap as we steer the lawnmower together. I'd rather do anything else but talk to a non-committed person. I know you all three are the exact same way. So really, it's a filtering fee, right? So 99% of people go, oh, I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to give you the money. And I already know I won't take action. I don't believe in myself. I don't believe it's possible for me. So look at your YouTube audience, Zuber. Compare how many people watch your YouTube channel on a monthly basis versus people who actually buy a thing because they believe in themselves. It's very small. So Grant says to me, so what do you do? What do you do with those 99%? Not one of you three guys is going to do what I'm about to say. I am currently doing it. He says, you give them something that they can bet on you instead of betting on themselves. I'm like, what the hell is that, Grant? And he says, put together a fund. Put a fund together that you go out, you find the deal, you negotiate, you do this, you raise the majority of the capital, and they can ride your wave. Now your other 99% have a way to do business with you. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so genius. I love that. Thank you so much. But that's the lunatic in me talking. Not everybody should do that, right? That's the lunatic in me. Oh, I want to do that. I want to learn the skill of raising money. I want to learn the skill of building an empire. Grant says to me, I'm now worth $1.3 billion, maybe more by this time. I go, where'd that money come from? He goes, none of my net worth came from my coaching. Yeah. My net worth is all tied up in my multifamily massive real estate. And I'm like, wow, interesting. And so I sat down, this is about 3 years ago when him and I became good friends. I sat down, I got with my partner because I won't run an office. I have 600 employees. I don't go in the office. Nobody directly reports to me. I know exactly what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And Josiah Grimes, my partner, shout out to him. We go put a fund together. And now last month, it's small. Like Grant, I think writes like $30 million in checks a month or some crazy number. Maybe it's not that much. Maybe it's 3 million. But last month we wrote $300,000 in checks to people who have never joined my mentorship because they don't believe in themselves, yet they believe in me. So what is Grant doing? This is where people get pissed off by Grant. Grant will say salacious things that I don't believe he believes because he's incredibly good at speaking to the 99% of people that he wants them to invest in his fund. Ooh. Now I'm unraveling. So Grant's sitting there going, I have a responsibility to grow this fund. I have a responsibility to future investors, current investors, my team. I have a responsibility. I am Ronald McDonald. That's my job. Nobody directly reports to Grant. I know his team. Sherry, oh my gosh, he's got the most gangster people on his team. Jared Glant, oh my, the culture of their company, you guys will never find somebody that works in that company that does not love Grant Cardone. Colt or not Colt, that dude knows what culture is about. Unbelievable. And I've taken massive lessons from the guy. And I think that's to be said about everybody, right? Like if David Green chose to call you up, Michael Zuber, and said, bro, you seem dope. Like you're putting yourself out there. You're a badass. I listen to your content. I see you're giving quality advice. I don't agree with everything you're doing because I'm not taking the same path as you are. However, we're both helping lead this industry. Let's collaborate. Let's do stuff together. Who would be better fit or who would be better off if David Green did that instead?
The audience, of course.
The audience. Gosh, damn it, Michael Zuber. Freaking hitting it right on the head. 100%. So if you really care about the audience, David Green, I love you. You would lead this industry with positivity and providing value and collaboration. Instead of he's got this new podcast, he's saying, I'm going to call everybody out on my podcast. Bro, you are attracting the most negative human beings. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And if you're throwing out this negative lure into the river, you're only going to catch the negative fish. And you're going to live in a negative cesspool. Like, what are you doing? If anything else, we have a responsibility as influencers to help encourage the culture of the community of real estate as a whole to be overly positive, right? But what is Grant doing? Grant goes, you know what? People are going to take shots at me no matter what. I can't control these men. I can't control their jealousy. I can't control this. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leverage it. Because if I can't control it and I can't speak to them, I'm going to leverage it and I'm going to get people to invest in my fund. Now, how he runs his fund and he has criticisms there. He has criticisms because he's the biggest. It's like when I was young, I remember watching the Lakers versus the Chicago Bulls. My dad hated Michael Jordan. How in the F could anyone say you hated Michael Jordan? Because you're a bitch. and you're jealous. That's why you're a bitch. You're not a man. You're a jealous bitch. And I look at my dad and my dad, I hated Michael Jordan for 10 years because you hated Michael Jordan for 10 years. And I robbed myself from all the examples and the lessons and the things that that guy stood for because you hated him. And so Grant says, I can't control these men's jealousy. What I can do is navigate my audience and get the people that don't believe in themselves to believe in me. And I'm going to get them to believe in me by saying, buying a single family home is a waste of your time. Owning your home is stupid. I don't think Grant truly believes that. But he is incredibly good at marketing. And if he has a responsibility, you're going to write these ideas down. He goes, my job is to pull as many fish out of this river as humanly possible. And I'm going to choose the perfect lure to pull them out of this water and get other people to talk about me so that I can pull these fish out. Otherwise, the jealous, hateful human beings are going to get the access to these fish. And I think I have a responsibility to these fish. Now, is everything about Grant perfect? I'm sure it's not. But when you look at it through some rose-colored lenses, you go, gosh dang, this guy, he's genius and he's smart. And I would rather collaborate with a guy like Grant than I would tear him down. Same thing with David Green. Bro, you got a microphone. Somebody allowed you to buy a microphone and get on the largest platform on the planet. You have a responsibility to be the most collaborative human being on the planet. That is your responsibility. Forget your feelings and be collaborative because we all need each other. And there's so many ways to win in this. So, you know, here's how I'm not calling everybody else a bitch. I'm mostly talking to myself. Even before I met Grant and we were friends, I would look at his videos and go, man, what the hell's wrong with you, man? Because I didn't understand what he was doing. I just criticized him because that's what men do when they're jealous. That's what men do when they can't compete. And so I watched my father and I'm like, gosh, dang it, bro. You taught me how to be jealous of Michael Jordan. So you look at everybody in this industry and it's like, why shouldn't everybody be friends with each other and actually help it? Again, Michael, you said it. The audience are the people in the detriment when we do not collaborate.
Yeah.
And we do not understand each other. And so I look at David Green. I watched a couple of his recent podcasts and he spends time criticizing people who have, oh, these coaches, these gurus. Then he immediately turns around and David, I am talking to you and I love you and I appreciate it. I want you to understand this. Then he goes around and talks about his mastermind and his retreats. And he's calling his horse a pony. Or he's saying, well, my horse is pink, your horse is brown. I'm only going to criticize brown horses. Right? There's another guy out of Florida that says, I don't have a coaching program and I don't have a this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, he's pushing affiliates to PropStream and other places. And like, it's the same animal. It's a different color. And your problem, Mr. out of Florida guy, your problem is the only way you provide value is preying on the most primal portion of humans' brain, which is me versus them. Right? All the way back in tribal times, we different tribes are like, oh, they're stealing our food and there's only so many buffalo in this herd and blah, blah, blah. And it was never, hey, let's collaborate and help each other. It was always us versus them. Why do you think people like watching sports so much? It goes to our most primal desires of competition. And so for the people out there that are influencers, David Green's never said a negative thing about me. He's taken silent shots at creative finance. And Bigger Pockets chose not to talk about creative finance during 2023 and 2024, which is the hottest time creative finance has ever had. And they chose not to talk about creative finance because yours truly didn't just put his foot on the neck of the industry regarding creative finance. I created new pathways to do creative finance. They don't want to talk about it because it gives me power. Instead of, hey, let's collaborate. Hey, Pace wrote your #1 selling best book at Bigger Pockets. Let's get him on the show more often. It was, well, we don't want to take a shot at Pace because he has undying, like diehard fans. Because Pace provides more value than anybody else in the industry. I travel around every week, 3 cities a week. I meet people face to face. I do things other people would be like, there's no way I would do what Pace does. I'm sure all three of you look at what I do and you go, there's no possible way. I'm not doing it.
No, agreed.
So instead of, but I'm a lunatic. I'm not better than anybody. I wake up in the morning. These are the thoughts I have. It's not let me beat other people. It's just, I really desire to do these things. So you look at how much better off the Bigger Pockets audience would have been over the last couple of years if they were hammering more on creative finance. Can we all agree creative finance has had its day in the sun for the last couple of years? Then why is Bigger Pockets talking about how the burst strategy still works? Like, bro, if your thumbnail is why the burst strategy is not dead instead of why you should be doing sub 2 and seller finance right now, that is a vendetta. That is something internally. That's politics. And what's happening is the audience is being robbed from the current value that the marketplace presents.
Yeah.
And so my ultimate point is the darkest part of these men is the jealousy, the non-collaboration. Why would anybody take a shot at Michael Zuber? Why? Jealousy, envy, greed. And when you give people like that a microphone and they go unchecked, this industry continues to be the most non-collaborative, cutthroat industry. Last thing I say, man, that's going to be on my tombstone. Last thing I'll say. 8 years ago, I get a lead, right? I do stuff that none of you guys do. I'll go send out, I don't do this now, but at the time, 8 years ago, I was sending out postcards and I was meeting with homeowners in their house every day, 2-3 appointments a day. Why? Because I was wholesaling, I was fixing and flipping, I was full time. Like while you guys were in your 9 to 5, I was also in my 9 to 5. My 9 to 5 was just wholesaling, right? Which, by the way, you could argue 9 to 5 is, or wholesaling is very much a 9 to 5 job. It's a grind. It's very hard. It's challenging. So I get this lead in Colorado. Seller lives in Colorado. House is in Phoenix. He's retiring. His wife is sick. They want to sell their summer home, which is the house that I, was inquiring about. We strike a price Wednesday. He says, yeah, by Friday at 5 p.m., if you can sign this contract with me, let's get this done. I'm like, Friday by 5 p.m. I'm like, I'll send it over right now. I'll just send it DocuSign. He goes, am I doing the deal with DocuSign? I go, no, I'm confused by the question. He goes, I'm an old school guy. Mm-hmm. I want to look you in the eyes and I want to sign the contract with you face to face. I go, no problem. I'll send a mobile notary. Am I doing the deal with the mobile notary pace? Dang, this guy's diehard. So this is before I had the largest community by a 20-50 time factor of anybody else. And this is why I built my community. This one thing is why I built my community. And why now people use the word community in the ethos of real estate. Nobody was using that before I came on the scene. Nobody. Not a single person was using that word. I used that word. People go, "Ooh, that's the thing we do. And we got to copy and emulate that guy." And I'm grateful for it. I love it. I think it's great. It's overwhelmingly positive for the industry. So I go, I don't have anybody in Colorado. I don't have anybody. I'm not going to fly up there and get one contract signed. I got 5 other appointments I got to go on this week. This is ridiculous. So I go on the Bigger Pockets forum. Because at the time, this is the only place you could get help.
Yeah.
Right? So, and by the way, I could join a Facebook group, but the problem is I could join a Facebook group. It'd take me like a day or 2 days to get accepted, depending on the admins that are running that Facebook group. So I'm trying to join Colorado Facebook groups and this, that, and the other. I'm trying to reach out to agents in the area, but agents don't understand real estate or wholesaling and blah, blah, blah. So I go make a post on Bigger Pockets. And I go, hey, here's the situation. I need somebody JV with me. I'll sign a JV agreement. We'll split it 50-50. I already have a buyer. I need somebody to go to this guy's house. We can make $37,000. You make this, I make this, we'll split it. Okay. So most of what I got underneath that post, and they ended up taking this post down. It was such a negative thing. And I brought it up multiple times. So it's been taken down. They don't want to have the history of this thing. It was just a bunch of traditional real estate people criticizing the piss out of me. Go get a license, you freaking wholesaler. I'm like, man, do you guys do you guys not know how this works? Wholesalers are needed in this industry, just like agents are needed in this industry, just like hard money lenders and creative finance and traditional and all. Everything's needed. Why are you guys criticizing me? It was 30, 40 comments. And I was like, gosh, dang it. I get a little bit discouraged. And then that night, Wednesday night, I get a text message from a guy named Steven. Steven saw my post, reached out to me. Hey, Pace, I can go do this appointment. Give him all the information, get him set up, tell the seller, hey, Steven, my partner's going to be there. He'll meet you face to face. Great. Steven goes to the house. He's supposed to call me at noon. Doesn't call me. Doesn't call me. Doesn't call me. 7 o'clock at night, I get a call from the seller. Hey, Pace, it's Tim, the seller of the house, blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, I haven't heard from Steven. What's going on? Is everything okay? And he goes, Steven took a screenshot of your post on Bigger Pockets. And he came to my house and he showed me that you guys weren't actually partners and you were looking for a JV partner.
Oh.
Now, you guys don't run into this in the traditional space of like buying deals on the MLS, but this is rampant in the wholesale
in the
industry.
wholesale space all the time. Yeah.
It's so bad. It's so bad. So, I'm like flabbergasted. Like, why are you even calling me? You signed with Steven. He goes, I didn't sign with Steven. I'm a man of my word. I told you I would sell my house. You had till Friday at 5 p.m. If you don't sign with me, I'll sign with Steven at 6 p.m. But I'm going to honor my commitment to you. Get your butt up here or else I'm not signing with you. And so that night, it's like 7:30. I'm like, okay, I'm looking for flights. Now it's 8 o'clock. I can't find a flight that's going to get me in enough time to get there by 5 because this guy lives 3 hours outside of Denver. I got to land in Denver, get a rental car, drive 3 hours out, right? He's like way up in the north east corner of Colorado. And I'm laying in bed. It's like 9 o'clock. I'm just feeling a little bit defeated. And my wife says, hey, how's that thing with Tim, Steven, blah, blah, blah. And I go, I tell her. She hears the story. She goes, so what are you going to do? And I go, I'm just going to let the deal go. And she goes, that's not the man I married.
Mm-hmm.
Laura.
Remember, my wife grew up in an entrepreneur's house. She understands the entrepreneur plight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I jump in my Prius and I drive 16 freaking hours and I go to this guy's house. I get the contract signed. There's a whole bunch of story, like things inside of the story that I could give breath to it for 45 minutes. I'm not going to, but as I leave this house, okay, I'm walking, I get in my car. I'm about to get in my car and I look down the driveway and I see this guy had a really long driveway, lived in the middle of nowhere, and he had this dirt road leading up to his house, probably a 4-mile dirt road. And I could see this billow of dust coming up the road. And it's like this little truck just kind of like side swerving and stuff, like obviously going way faster than he should be going. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Steven's coming here to the house to beat my ass. Well, it wasn't Steven. The guy got out of the car, ran up to me, put his hand out, shook my hand. And he goes, hey, I'm Tim's son, the seller. And I just want to shake your hand and say, congratulations. My dad told me the story about Steven and how he took this screenshot from Bigger Pockets. And he goes, I've always thought Bigger Pockets was the most cutthroat forums I've ever been on. I want to say congratulations to you. You did what you said you're going to do. I wanted to shake your hand. Like, you drove all the way here to just tell me that? He goes, yeah. I'm like, wow, man. He goes, it's a problem. I've been stabbed in the back. I'm a real estate agent. I've been stabbed in the back on those forums as well. It's a non-filtered environment. Like, let people just do whatever. I'm like, gosh, that's so horrible. Like, why is this industry? Why can't I share 16, I think what Steven would have made was like 16,000. No, 18,000 some odd dollars Steven would have made. Instead, he cuts off his nose to spite his face. And now loses the deal entirely. Him and I could have done 100 deals together, but he chose not to. On the drive home, I had 16 hours to reflect on this. And I said, what does this industry really need? I could be a bitch and complain about it. And I could be somebody that extracts value from the industry, but I don't want to do that. So I would send voice memos to myself for 16 hours on the drive home in my little Prius saying, this needs to happen, and this needs to happen, and this needs to happen, and this needs to happen. And it's crazy to me with all these people, 4 faces on this screen right now that are all trying to pour value into this industry, that somebody would say something negative about somebody else that's trying to do the same thing. And you look at David Green, I'm like, David, you have a responsibility above all of us. You're exalted, bro. Like, in a lot of ways, you're exalted. You have a responsibility. You imagine a pastor of a church bashing another pastor of another church. Well, guess what? It happens all the time. And I don't know if that's the Lord's work or if that's the devil's work. You tell me. You think the devil is telling the pastor to criticize the other pastor of another church, a completely different denomination? Or is that Heavenly Father, Jesus, telling that pastor to go criticize that other pastor? That's Satan's work.
Yeah.
And so when we look at the religions of the world, I'm Mormon. I grew up Mormon. I went on a Mormon mission. I got married in the Mormon temple. I am a Mormon through and through. I love all religions. They're all correct. They're all correct. They're all right. And so what happens is these pastors go, well, I don't know how to provide more value than the other pastor, so I'm just going to criticize the other pastor and say he's the devil and he's this, that, and the other. Guys, throw the human elements out the window. I'm not saying guys as you three guys, but I'm looking at the industry as a whole, and I'm calling upon the influencers, the people who have a response. This thing right here, some people call this a microphone. I call this a responsibility stick. You have a responsibility. If you're going to pour things into the industry, it better be positive. It better be uplifting. And if you have a disagreement with somebody like a Michael Zuber, you freaking send it to him in a private text message, because what happens is when mommy and daddy fight, the kids learn aggression. And when you see stuff like, oh, let me take a shot at this person, a shot at that person, a shot at this person, the industry as a whole becomes negative. Isn't that interesting to think about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we all need each other. We all need each other.
One of the things that, Pace, you've done, again, you said it earlier, I'll say it again, better than anybody else on the planet, is build a community, right? I think you said earlier it's 20,000 strong. I'm sure it's much bigger than that with your touch points. I'd be curious, because again, we're trying to build a community here at One Rental at a Time. It's very small, but growing. When you think about how Sub2 grew into this monster, what were kind of the first 2 or 3 years, like looking back, like what are the 2 or 3 things you did right that you'd be like, oh, I'd do that again if I was going to build, a different community? And maybe 1 or 2 things you're like, ooh, that felt like a good idea, but not the right time maybe, or too early, or whatnot. What do you think?
Number one, in person. Guys, if ChatGPT was going to change your life, we'd all be billionaires by now. Information is not what people need. They do not need information. They need human molecule connection, which means physical interaction with each other in person. And so what I did when I got home from that Colorado trip, I didn't know what to do. This is 8 years ago. Nobody gave me, like, Alex Hormozy and I are good friends. He sends me a text. This is before he bought school. And he's like, you're the guy. You are the guy that revolutionized this industry, and you're not going to get credit for it, but I want to let you know, you are the one that actually built community the right way. Everybody else is going to start copying you. Russell Brunson, good friend of mine. I'm actually speaking for Funnel Hacking Live on Friday this week. Really good friend of mine. Same thing. He says, nobody in everybody that's ever built a funnel, you are the only guy our team has ever seen that actually has built a real community. Why? Because I go away from the digital domain. You don't see it on the outside, but when you get inside of my community, you go, holy crap, this is very much a physical community. So when I got home from Denver, that trip, and I was pissed off about Steven, I was very much acting out of spite. So thank you so much, Steven. And thank you, Bigger Pockets, for sometimes, having these forums go unchecked. I went home and I said, all right, I don't know what to do. I have 300 people on Instagram that follow me, 300.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't have a big audience. I wasn't, people are like, but no, I worked my ass off for it. Here's how I worked my ass off for it. The number one algorithm that I follow is the one algorithm that literally nobody talks about. And that's the spoken word, the rumors, the testimonials behind closed doors. That's the algorithm I focus on. And so how did I do that? I went home and I go, all right, Instagram stories just barely came out at the time. Instagram stories kind of new. So I went on Instagram stories and I said, hey, meet me if anybody wants to learn this business, I'm just going to give it away for free. So I said, meet me at Circle K, 6 o'clock in the morning, Saturday, and I'll take you around 12 hours all day long. I'll take you on appointments.
I remember.
Yeah. And this is the beginning. And the first time I did it, nobody showed up. Not one person. I didn't have an audience. If I do it now, quite literally 1,000 people will show up. We did this in Venice Beach 6 months ago. The police had a helicopter come in and shut down our meetup because 1,100 people were on the beach, and is insane amount of people. That was from an Instagram post 4 hours prior. Like the game has definitely changed for me now. I can't do the same things I was doing back then. So we've changed it up to more meetup style, but I had nobody show up. That didn't stop me from going out on my appointments and talking to my sellers and going to my projects and doing the things. And I then was like taking selfies of myself and my car in the background. I was like, oh man, the people in this car are getting so much value today. If you want to come next Saturday, please come.
Got it.
Marketing. And so then people, oh man, you really did it. So I had the next week, I did it again. 3 people show up. Scott Garcia, Debbie Lou, and a gentleman named Tim. All three of them are now net worth over $7 million. And they all attribute it to that first meetup or that first day I did. I took them on appointments. We went to a seller's appointment house on 223rd. I bought the seller's house sub 2. By the way, contrary to popular belief, sub 2 has always been a thing, will always be a thing. It's just that the old men that were the guards standing in front of the creative finance realm didn't want anybody else to know about it and had to go through them and pay them $50,000 to learn anything about it. I was the guy that was like, I'm putting this all on YouTube and I'm going to piss all these old guys off.
Right.
Okay. They're all, a lot of them, most of them are all friends of mine, and they don't love my YouTube channel because they're like, well, now I've taken my mentorship from $50,000 to $5,000 and I still can't be able to buy it because they just go, I'll go on Pace's YouTube channel, watch it for free. But whatever, it is what it is. So I take them on appointments. I go to this house on 223rd. They see this lady. Literally, it was the only appointment I've ever been on where the lady was naked the entire seller appointment. Full on naked, not even socks, full on naked, answers the door naked. She's 300 pounds. She answers the door naked. She walks us in, it's a 5,000 square foot, multi-million-dollar home. I still own it to this day.
Wow.
And this lady sits down like nothing, guys, nothing is in her mind. She has no idea. And I'm like, I had to call her daughter, and her daughter's like 25. I'm like, is she okay? Like, can we talk? She's like, oh yeah, she's fine. She's just a nudist. Okay. All right. I go through this whole appointment with Debbie Lou and Scott Garcia and Tim with me. I sign this contract, buy the house. I walk out of this appointment and I go, this is what people need. They need to see what the business actually looks like. They need to be behind the computer screen, not on the other side of it. And so I started doing this. I did this for probably 4 or 5 months, and it got so popular. The algorithm went crazy. The in-person mouth to ear algorithm, people talking about what I was doing got so big that one day I had it got so big that I couldn't do it at Circle K anymore. They were like, what are you guys doing here? This looks like a gang fight. This is crazy. Get the heck out of here. So we started doing meetups every Friday at my office, and I'd order a taco truck, $600. I would spend the money. I was just like, oh, you know what? I'll just spend $600. I'd probably do a JV deal a week with people that come to this thing, And it got so crazy that people started asking me for my photo. I'm like, what? What do you want my stupid photo for?
Yeah.
What do you want my stupid photo for? Well, dude, nobody does this. Nobody does this. In fact, Cody Sperber, who's a good friend of mine now, Cody Sperber's entire acquisition team started coming to my meetups going, we're learning more at your meetup than we ever did working for an actual company, being behind the screen, because we're in person and we're doing the thing. I'm like, oh, wow, interesting. That's the recipe. People need to get rid of the screen. They need to get rid of Zoom. They need to get rid of YouTube, and they need to be in person. So I started telling people, bring your laptops. Let's do the work. Let's submit offers. Let's do the thing. And it got crazy. This one day, this guy's waiting in line. I can see him fidgeting like 300 people down the line. And he's fidgeting all the way until he gets to me. And I'm like, hey, man, bro, what's up? Like, are you on crack cocaine? What's up? He's like, I'm just so excited to be here. I flew in from Portugal this morning.
Right.
I go, cool, man. Like, what were you doing in Portugal? And he goes, I live there. I'm like, oh, you weren't visiting and just came back home? He goes, no, I came from Portugal to come to your meetup. Nobody is doing what you're doing. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. And that was a recipe. And it went kind of crazy. And Michael, you met me at a time about 5 years ago where Jamil and I were on this tour called the Pace and Jamil Do America tour.
I remember.
And we just went to every RIA we could imagine. And we were in person, pulling up our laptops. Let's do the business. You remember actually, who was it that was in your office I went and visited?
It would have been Stratton Brown and Adam.
Stratton Brown. So I go, Stratton was just kind of starting his business at the time. He just paid for Steve Trang's mentorship and some other people. And Stratton goes, will you come and say hi to me? Like, come hang out in my office. And it was Michael Zuber's office. I met Michael Zuber, his wife, that day. And I was like 2 years into guys, I was spending 15 grand a month out of my own pocket. Didn't have anything to sell. Didn't have anything no mentorship, no community. I didn't even know what I was doing with this. I just was like, I want to change the industry.
Right.
So I did this for 3 freaking years, spending $15,000 in flights and sacrificing time away from my wife and my kids to go and do what I think we needed in this industry. And I would go to people like Stratton. I go, what do you got in your business? Well, let me just work on it right now. He goes, really? I go, yeah.
Yeah.
And we just call his sellers for him, call his buyers. We were like putting deals together for him. And he's just like, I cannot believe y'all are just doing this and showing up. I'm like, it's what everybody needs.
Yeah, I remember that my biggest memory of that in my office was Jameel taking all these postcards I would get, right? Because I own, a decent amount of units, and he actually called every postcard, the wholesaler. And I remember him saying only one guy picked up the phone. I'm like, wholesalers are sending out all this mail and they're not even picking up the phone. What the heck?
So crazy. And we did this, guys. I went to 200, 300 cities. I saw America. Jamil and I spent so much time together. And then people started asking me to go on podcasts. I was like, why do you want me on a podcast? Like, what do you want to know from me? I never had the intention to do any of the stuff I'm doing today. I just started seeing the recipe after talking to thousands and thousands of people and seeing how diverse every RIA was. If I go to a RIA with 200 people in it and they all show up and I would sit and talk till 2:00 in the morning, I would meet every single person. I started identifying avatars. I identified the burst strategy people. I identified the people that love their 9-to-5 job, and they should. They absolutely should. Are you kidding me? Your 9-to-5 job is the best deal you'll ever do. It's the thing that gives you the security to go and make decisions that are going to be challenging. You have that security, you have that foundation. And I would get to know them. And then I would get to identify the people that are like me. I'm at a point now, guys. This is what my parlor trick is. When I go to when I go to an event,
One more time.
Bless you.
I'll go to an event and people will line up. This happens now, like Bigger Pockets or whatever. I'll go speak for Bigger Pockets. And by the way, that's one of the greatest relationships I've ever had is with Bigger Pockets. And so none of the criticisms I said earlier have anything to do with it. I just look at the industry as a whole and I'm like, it's my responsibility to help fix some of this stuff. But I'll stand at an event and I'm so good at now identifying people that I can go, come stand in front of me. Don't say a word. I'll tell you if your parents are married still. I'll tell you how many children you have. I'll tell you what religion you are. I'll tell you what strategy you should be following, whether you should quit your job, not quit your job. I will tell you literally to the T everything about you. And people will record this and put it on their own YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And it's insane. They go, where did you get this gift? I go, I got this gift from talking to tens of thousands of people and identifying that everybody is uniquely different. And they fit, well, I shouldn't say that. They fit into like 26 categories. And then those categories kind of cascade down. And what's ironic and weird about it is you think those are different paths. They're not. It's like the guy climbing Mount Everest, right? The Grant Cardone, right? He's climbing the Mount Everest. Mm-hmm. That guy never climbed that mountain on his own. He had a Sherpa. He had a team. He had people around him. Guess what? Ironically, they also climbed Mount Everest. And so I started also identifying the people who got all the credit in the industry. Meanwhile, there's other people who are making a ton of money, like transaction coordinators or private money lenders, and how they all interface and they were doing deals with each other and trading and doing. I'm like, oh, how do I amplify this? And so when I built the Sub2 community, I built it with the thought process of there's not one way to win for the industry. There's one way to win for you as an individual. And here's how you collaborate with everybody around you. And so our community, why it has grown so rapidly and grows faster than anybody else's, is because everybody fits inside of it. Whereas like I have a good friend of mine, Brent Daniels, his mentorship's called TTP, talk to people. What does he teach them to do? Cold call. Bro, 1% of 1% of 1% of people on the planet want to cold call or even should cold call. And so what happens is his people leave his mentorship after 6 months and they come over to mine because they're like, now I know how to talk to people, but I don't know who to collaborate with. I need private money lenders. I need buyers. I need people to join my team as lead managers and da-da-da-da-da. So I built something that's highly collaborative and that it is a university of very diverse people that all rely on each other. And I didn't know I was doing it properly until I was 2 years in and 3 years in, people started going, dude, look what you did. I'm like, oh, I just did what I was doing out in the real world. I just put a filtering fee on the front end of it. And then here's the thing I think I've done better than anybody else. I have now, I'll call them students. I don't call them students to their face. I call them members or community leaders. And I now have more community leaders from Sub2 speaking on stage than most influencers. Like most influencers now that are on stage have come from the Sub2 community. You just don't know it. What's cool about creative finance is that you can do RV parks, mobile home parks, single family, multifamily, dirt, everything. It's so diverse. It's an umbrella.
Right.
And last year we did $10 billion in creative finance transactions and $10 billion in cash transactions. We have the largest burr investor in sub 2. Why is he in there? Because he gets all his private money and deal flow from other people.
Yeah.
And so I never was like, this is what I teach. I teach sub 2 because I don't do just sub 2. And then I was like, all right, here's the pinnacle of like what I'm accomplishing is I go, I'm going to create tools that are ours. And so I created a title company called Creative Title and Escrow. It just launched. We're in 43 states. And it will do every type of transaction, but it primarily focuses on the standardization of creative finance transactions to eliminate all the muddy water that these old men before me created, right? There's this amazing quote that says, they make the water muddy so you think it's deep. And so these old men that were like the guards of the creative finance realm that you couldn't get into, and they protected it. Like the guys that are doing wraps and lease options and sub 2 and seller finance, guys, those transactions are so plentiful. It's ridiculous. When people go, oh, creative finance deals are needle in a haystack. I'm like, no, they are the haystack. Cash deals are the needles. I'm telling you, there are so many more deals in creative finance once you understand it, but nobody talked about it unless you paid them $50,000.
Right.
And so I created a title company that was like, I'm going to give ownership of this title company back to the community. And you look at the title companies, right? Like Fidelity and these massive companies, they make so much money off of all of our students. They take that money, they then go buy PropStream, and then they make more money from our students. And I was like, how do I fix that? How do I make it so we own the title company, we standardized and we create processes and flows of all 50 states. And then we take that money and we turn around and give it back to the community. We pay for the meetups. We sponsor people. We get people on stages. We help people with their marketing. And I get to the point where the title company basically just has enough money to grow, but we're feeding the money back into our communities. So I'm just doing things that nobody else was doing before. And I wrote a list down that was like, what has never been done in the industry before? And am I crazy enough to go and accomplish it? Again, it kind of goes back to the theme of the beginning of the conversation. Know thyself.
Right.
I am a lunatic. Do not try and be me. There's 1% of 1% of people that should be like me. And so I'm just doing crap that nobody else is doing. And last year, even though the community is really strong, we have 400 meetups that happen nationwide every single month, whether I'm there or not. 400 meetups per month. The furthest you'd have to drive in the country to go to a local meetup that a sub 2 community member is running is 45 minutes. That's the furthest. So think about that. You'd get people into the digital realm and they go, okay, I'm watching videos. In one of my first videos, I go, get the hell off the videos. This course is stupid. Courses are dumb. Stop taking courses. You did not buy a course. You need to go and hang out with these people, and you need to go find these 5 people at the meetup right now. And so we have meetups in a plentiful way. Why? Because now at the meetup, husband joins the community, takes his wife or his spouse, they go to the meetup, they meet somebody else and their wife and their spouse and their kids, and now they're making their strongest relationships. Yeah. The only reason I would continue to go to church when I was younger is because there was cute girls at church. I didn't go because Jesus is dope. So I'm like, what do people need? They need strong relationships and friendships in their local demographic, and a digital course cannot do that. And so I did the things that people really need. And by the way, in 10 years, mentorships, and not even 10 years, 5 years, 7 years, mentorships and courses are going to be done. Why? You're already seeing it. You're seeing the sentiment of, I'll just ask ChatGPT to write the contract for me. I'll ask ChatGPT for my script. I'll have ChatGPT do this, and this. What do they need information for? They don't. They need another human being to help them get through that fire and hold their hand. That means, for example, student joins in DFW today, okay, in sub 2. You join in DFW today. Let's say you have a lead. You can go into our community and go, hey, who can go on this appointment with me? And because our community is so diverse and so large, you'll have 14 people go, I'll go on that appointment with you. Oh, it looks like Myron's taking care of you. Let me know when you have the next one. I'll be the guy that goes on the appointment with you. That's what people need. They need less information. They need more interaction, right? And then you've got people like Kyle Kargas, which are very similar to you gentlemen and your speed. They go, I just want to buy one deal a quarter from other people that are idiots and are going out there and spending money on marketing and learning how to negotiate. I don't want to learn any of that stuff. I want to be with my wife and my kids. I want to buy a deal a quarter. and I want to buy it sub 2 seller finance, sure. Yeah, I'll buy 50% of them, but I also want to buy cash deals and I want to use banking and all that kind of stuff. And they just sit back and they rake in the deals from other people. So I made a very, very diverse ecosphere that everybody can rely on other people. And I tell them, don't watch the videos. Now, ironically, we have 39 Zooms a week, 14 hours a day of live support. That's crazy. Why? Because there's 4 different types of learning, right? There's kinesthetic, in person, there's audible, there's sight, right? There's all of these different types of things. I supply all of that. But at the end of the day, the thing that a community really is not digital.
Yeah.
And also the other thing, and this is going to hurt people's feelings, but this is my belief, and this is where we could differ. I don't believe a community is a monthly charge. I believe, because here's the thing, if they stop paying the fee, they're no longer in the community. Therefore, the only value they provide to you is a monthly expense. Therefore, you shouldn't be calling them a community. A community is friends of like-minded people that are sharing resources and filling in the gaps of each other's understanding. That's what a community is. So what I did is I chose to do a one-time filter fee. And here's what happens. Michael, I think you have a school community, which is awesome. I hear good feedback from it.
I do.
The challenge with that, here's what you're missing, in my personal opinion. If you do a school community, here's what you're robbing your students of. You are robbing your students of experienced people that after about 6 months, you have attrition, right? Maybe 3 to 6 months, you have attrition.
Sure.
The people that learn from you, they get some traction, they get some momentum. Guess what happens? They stop paying and automatically they're kicked out and booted out. And at that time, they're mentally going, Michael gave me this crazy value. I got momentum. This man changed my life. I owe him millions of dollars of value. But what do? They go, I'm out. I'm going to go do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
What I
Sure.
did is I go, I need leaders to stay in here and I need you to run like your local geography. And so you go anywhere in the country, you name a zip code, quite literally, you name a zip code. I have a leader there that is doing deals with new people that are coming into the community. So that was, I'd say, the number one thing that I did was make sure that there's local geographical leadership every single part of the country. Fargo, North Dakota, Chris Neer. Okay. Chris Neer made $1.6 million last year in wholesale fees, buys a couple of rentals every single year. You know, that's his lane that he's chose. But most of the deals he does is new people joining in freaking Fargo, North Dakota. What the hell do I know about Fargo, North Dakota? Nothing other than I want to stay away from there.
It sounds cold. Yeah. Exactly.
So what from a community perspective, I think, you know, this is where Bigger Pockets really kind of screwed up too, is I think when you do a yearly subscription fee, you cut your legs off in terms of growing leadership, and it then all falls on your shoulders. And in order for you to grow it, it can't be done that way. I'm Mormon, and I'm sure you guys are religious to some degree, or you've been to church. The reason why the Catholic Church is so good is because it's highly organized. The reason why Mormons are so good and they grow, we're the fastest growing church and have been for the last 20 years. Why? Is because the organization, the person at the top is the least important. The most important person is the person in the local geographical area, which is the bishop. That person becomes the most important. And so it wasn't until like 3 years into my community that Jerry Norton, good friend of mine, by the way, I'm sure, are you friends with Jerry, Michael?
No, I've spoken with him once, I believe. Yeah.
Unbelievable guy. One of the best people on the planet, like net positive for the industry. He goes, dude, you built this community like a freaking church. I'm like, what? Did I? And then he lined it out for me. He goes, yeah, you got the this, the quorum of the 70, the this, the that, the apostles, the blah, 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 blah. I'm like, holy crap, I built this just like the church. So the thing that I think hurts your growth and your leadership is the monthly expenses.
Okay.
And now it's a different model and it works. So I'm not criticizing, it's just a different model. So when people go, how do I build something like you? I go, you drop the monthly expense and you charge more money on the front end.
Right.
Which is hard. And you charge more money on the front end. Why? So that you get a higher quality people. Can we all agree that Walmart people are different than Costco people?
Sure.
Can we all agree that the free people that you educate on YouTube are very different mindset than the people that pay you $97 or $297 a month?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, by that equation, could we agree that somebody, have you guys ever seen that meme that's like a $50 client is like, oh, I want you to fix this, 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 and this, and a $50,000 client's like, hey, wire was sent. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. course.
That was one of the smartest things I ever did. Is I said, I'm going to make the filter fee significant enough that every time somebody's in my community and they want to collaborate with somebody else, we all know people are committed at the highest possible level. Last night, okay, I'm driving away from a hoedown. I did a 700 person hoedown I did here in Montana. Everybody in my community, the average person in that room has been in my community for over 4 years. And I'm driving Marlon home. Marlon is staying in my house. He's up here in an RV. He's like, can I use your house and take a shower? I go, of course. Marlon and I driving home last night. He goes, bro, I can't believe I paid you 4.5 years ago. And now I'm here. You're driving me to your house to take a shower. The fact that you truly have never charged me more than that one time. And I go, yeah, but Marlon, think about this. And this is also a hack I have, guys. This is where I also have an advantage of being a lunatic in this sense alone, is that Marlon goes and helps 100 people in the community go do deals. 5 of those people go do deals in Arizona, and 3 of them sell a deal to me.
Right.
And I bought $100 million in real estate last year from people inside my community. And so where I really make my money is by creating an ecosphere where everybody wins. And so Marlon's like, I can't believe I haven't paid you. I go, bro, you've paid me way more money than you can even imagine.
Right.
And I tied it and go, okay, you and Caroline did this, and then this happened, and this happened. Then Kyle, who you did a deal with 6 months ago, kept him in the community longer because he got a check for $40,000. Kyle then turned around and found a deal in a sub-2 deal in Phoenix. I bought that deal. I'm turning into a co-living property. I will make $3,000 a month on that property. And it's a domino effect of you staying in the community for a long period of time. He's like, oh my gosh, this is so genius.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think a lot of, again, these hateful men, to use some of your earlier words, don't understand. They think your primary income source is mentorship. And it's certainly not insignificant. I'm not saying it is, but your majority of your income, if we were going to audit your tax return, is the deal flow you get from your community. I think 99% of people miss that.
And it's really hard to like educate people on what my four buy boxes are too. Like people just think I'm buying on my own. I have 4 buy boxes. I have a fund, right, that I raise money for, and we buy only seller finance multifamily properties. We bought 300 doors last year. I have a team that runs out of a partner named Josiah. Him and I are co-GPs. I don't really talk about that a lot because it would confuse my audience, right? Like, again, correct. I'm only throwing out bait to my YouTube audience that they're actually the exact specific fish I want to catch is going to pay attention to. But then I've got a whole bucket where I buy only deals for my community. I have a bucket where I buy deals directly, where I have my own acquisition team. And then I have another business where I buy businesses with my partner, Cody Barton, who I believe you know Cody Barton.
Oh, yeah. Cody.
Michael Zuber.
Yes.
So but I don't talk about these things on YouTube because it's confusing for people in the audience. Like, wait, this is overwhelming. I don't know what the heck this guy's talking about. It's too many things. But my partner, Josiah Grimes, comes to me 5 years ago and he goes, you need to be a coach. I go, I'm never going to be a coach. I think coaches are gross. I don't want to do it. I got scammed by a guy. I had a really bad educator named David in Phoenix, put a really bad taste in my mouth like 11 years ago. He charged me $47,500 to learn creative finance just to find out he had never done a creative finance deal. So I had this really bad taste in my mouth, and I understand the argument that like a David Green has towards the guru, the mentor, the whatever, because I've been taken advantage of, right? And so when Josiah came to me, I said, this is going to blow some of you guys away. Because guess what? Do you guys think I know anything about my funnels? Dion and Matt, you know more about my funnels than I know about my funnels. Because this is going to blow you away. Who makes the money from my community? My community did $100 million in sales last year. Who makes the money?
Dales.
Josiah Grimes. The way I set up my community from the very beginning is I said, Josiah, if I ever get paid as a coach or a mentor, shoot me in the face. You take the money. I want it to be done exactly the way I want it done. I want to build a community. I want to have massive support. I want every student to have an MSA. I want this thing to be about everybody else but me. He goes, that's impossible. I go, is it possible if I let you take all the money? And he goes, maybe. The only thing I get from my mentorship sales, and I've shown my P&L to multiple people that do not believe this, the only thing I get is reimbursements on my travel.
Sure. Of course.
Now, could this be done by anybody else? No. Because I rely on the success of the community in order for me to make millions of dollars a year. I rely on the success of it. So I crafted it in a way that I was like, if that mentor who robbed me $47,500, if he would have done X, Y, and Z, it would have been the best thing. What is X, Y, and Z? And I started crafting out, right? Again, with those voice memos coming back from Colorado, what would be the thing? Man, what would be the thing is if the coach made more money from doing deals than he did from income.
Right.
And so I gave that to Josiah, and Josiah and a gentleman named Nick Fisher, who you guys never hear about. Those are the two guys that make all the money inside of my community. I get reimbursed for travel, but I make all my money by doing deals with the community. About $100 million in real estate with people last year.
Yeah.
I made 400 grand this month. Now I could talk all day long. This is why I told Michael, like, this needs to be a 2-hour podcast. That's warm up for me. Like, I'll go do a 24-hour interview, right? Because I love talking. I'm obsessed. Why am I obsessed? Because I was a freaking contractor for 10 years, struggling to figure out how do I get started in real estate. And then I realized how diverse and how easy real estate, sorry, shouldn't be the word easy, how simple real estate actually can be. It's not easy. It's hard. Biggest reason why it's hard is because your mindset sucks. My mindset sucked for a long time. Still, in a lot of ways, does suck. I have a lot of things to fix. But gosh dang, I started realizing there's so many different ways to make money. You guys want to hear one of the ways I'm making the majority of my money right now?
Sure.
Something that none of you will ever do. And that is not just fine, that is preferred. Do not do what I do. I will go I will go to my sub-2 students. We did, like I said, $10 billion in creative finance transactions last year, tracked through title companies and transaction coordinators, tracked. I don't know about the ones that didn't go through transaction coordinators and the ones that didn't go through the title company. I don't know about those ones, but I'm sure it's a lot. About 20% of those deals are non-cash flowing sub-2 deals because single family homes are really hard to cash flow, right? Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Matt, Dion, do you guys own your own properties? The houses you live in?
I'm house hacking still.
Okay, you're house hacking. You would never catch me dead doing house hacking, by the way, just FYI. But guess what? Millions of people should be house hacking.
Heck yeah.
Exactly. Heck yeah.
Yeah. Like millions of people. Okay, Matt, what about you? Do you own your house that you live in?
Mm-hmm.
How much does it cash flow every month?
$0 negative.
Okay, perfect. So we can agree that nobody that lives in their house, except for the crazy lunatics that house hack, their houses don't cash flow. Like 99% of real estate transactions are done on retail. They don't cash flow. Okay, great. Right. So if I find a sub-2 deal that has a 3% rate or a 4% rate on it, and I can get in for like $20,000, right, on a $400,000 purchase, 5% down, I'm all in. Cash to the seller, cash to the agent, closing cost, first month's payment, I'm in 20 grand. It doesn't cash flow. Why? Well, because it's in an HOA. I can't Airbnb. I hate Airbnb anyway, just personally for me. Does it work? Sure. I don't like it. Yeah. That's not to negate or degrade the Airbnb people. I just don't. Love it. Some people love it and they love, that's not me, right? Yep. I don't think that's any of you guys either.
Nope.
I think it really, anyway, so midterm rental won't work. Why? Because there's an HOA. Okay, what about co-living? I love co-living. I think co-living is the future. I think that affordable housing is the future. I think people taking single family homes and dicing them up into multifamily is the future. Why can't it? Because an HOA, I have an HOA and it doesn't cash flow. Okay, is that a dead deal? No. I just go to loan officers and I get, hey, I used to be a loan officer. So I go, hey, loan officers, do you ever get mortgage turn downs? Like people have down payments, they have even maybe decent credit, but they just started their job like 4 months ago, or they changed jobs, or maybe blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, like 65% of our applications. Perfect. If you can refer people who just got turned down to me, I will pay your next month's marketing expenses for, SEO or whatever else. I will pay you your marketing fee, which is perfectly legal. I can't give them cash, but I can pay for their marketing.
Right. Correct.
Mm-hmm. So they give me people that are buyers, right? Do you know how many buyers I have on my list right now of non-qualified, big down payment, good credit, but they, for whatever reason, 130,000 buyers I have on my current list right now. So I just gobble up non-cash flowing deals. I get them under contract, and then I assign the sub-2 deal to a family that's going to live in the house because they don't care if the deal cash flows.
Got it.
And I make $15,000 to $20,000 on every single one of them. What I actually am doing, boys, is I'm actually wrapping them, which is a complicated strategy. So most people shouldn't be doing this. I get under contract sub-2. I actually close on it. I go get a private money lender, a gator, as I call them in my community. That private money lender gives me the 20 grand. I then I own the property sub-2. I then go to the family that's going to move in the house and I sell it to them on seller finance, known as a wrap, right? I take my terms and I wrap my own terms on top of it. I sell it to that family. I make $200-300 in net cash flow, but I got paid $15,000 up front for putting that deal together. This is why nobody should do this unless you're a gangster, black belt, ninja. If that family defaults on that loan, guess who's responsible for it?
You.
Not the seller, because
No.
I actually still hold the deed. I will be the backstop to protect that seller's underlying mortgage. So that person defaults, I take that property back. I go back and I do it again. I call it the after party strategy, because after I got paid, somebody might default. I take the property back. I do it again. That is not for everybody.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And how do I find these deals? I find these deals because my community is so vibrant and does so many deals that all I do is take their crap deals that they don't want to find a wrap buyer for, and they don't want to put in their portfolio, and they want to just go, pay me $5,000. I found a deal that wouldn't cash flow, and I give them $5,000. I take 15 grand for myself. The end buyer pays all of that money, and I'm in the deal, no money. It's gangster. But there's a lot of liability on a wrap. And so I don't talk about this a lot on YouTube. So if you looked at my P&L this month, I made over $1 million. Okay. About $300,000 of that is net cash flow from my properties, right? I've got another $400,000 that I made from just doing those types of deals, active income, which technically you could argue is kind of a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, I would argue that. Yes.
Then I've got another $400,000 of other types of income, like The Plant Guy, a company I own. I own a company called theperfectclean.com. I own startvirtual.com. I own a title company. I have lots of other things, but not $1 on my P&L for me, my income you'll ever see me make coaching income. Not $1. And so what people will do is they will funnel hack my shit because they think I know anything about a funnel. I never done set up a funnel. I never done looked at a funnel. I never done dissected a funnel. I know nothing about funnels other than they put oil in a car.
I like that. I like that. Well, we've got about 20 minutes left. I want to make sure we close out this 20 minutes.
This was the warm up, bro.
Well, it's fine. I can keep going. I want to stay focused on the 99% because the 1% of the 1% are gangsters. That's not most people, clearly. I want to go. I'll go to Dion first here. What is the message to the 99% after listening to this for an hour and 45 minutes? What should that 99% take from this conversation so far, or what did you take?
So there's a ton to learn from Pace. Period. Okay, but I'm going to be transparent and honest, and Pace is probably never going to want to talk to me again after this video.
I doubt
this entire time sitting here, I've been getting sicker and sicker to my stomach that there are people on the planet like Pace. So yes, people shouldn't do what he's doing. That motivation and that drive. So earlier you referenced Cardone would say, I need to grow up and think bigger. I don't think Cardone.
I think he said you need to grow up and be a man. Is actually what I think he said.
But Pace, I don't think any of you in that realm are thinking big enough. Period. Like mic drop, you're just not thinking big enough, because what matters to the person listening, if they want to grow that next community, they need to learn everything from you. If they want to have a big portfolio with all these deal flows and responsibilities like sellers and projects and those funnels that you don't want to know about, they should listen to you. But to someone, and there's someone out there, maybe two people, where time freedom matters more than anything. And I want as close to 24 hours a day, every day when I wake up, that I can do whatever feels like popping into my head. If I had sellers, I'd have a job. I've done one burr after I retired. I'm never doing one again. It was the dumbest thing I've done since like 6 marriages. So I'm not doing that. I don't want deal flow. I don't want one a quarter. I want one every 2 years. And I'm only going to do that going forward because the money piles up and it's got to go somewhere. So I'm also, knowing your audience, I'm an admin for Bigger Pockets. I'm in the chats going, okay, that's okay. That's not okay. That's okay. So I wasn't there long enough to see the one you're talking about. But I'm in the Facebook groups. I'm a teaching assistant for their boot camps. And here's the problem that almost all content creators run through. And this is why you're seeing names change in the bigger seats. Is you take someone like Brandon Turner, and he starts out Aberdeen, Washington, podunk, middle of nowhere. I buy a property to hack my daughter's education. I'm going to refinance it. She's 18. It'll be paid off. He gets 24 units, moves to Hawaii, and house hacks a triplex. The Millions of people said, how do I become Brandon? And then he goes, mobile home parks, syndications, my name, my brand, my books. And everybody's like, I don't want to be that guy. There's no way in the world I would be Pace. I feel really bad for Pace's assistant. Like just the level of work that you're doing is
Oh, bro, I have 9
I
assistants. I have 9.
Right.
Like,
I don't
not
want
just
any.
one.
Like,
Yeah.
Not one.
$500,000 in payroll every couple of weeks. I have 0. Like I write one check every couple of months for this stupid water department for one of my rentals that requires a check. Like this is the only time I'm touching pen to paper. But David Green, he's a cop. He goes, I can buy some rentals and be financially free. And everybody's like, well, how do you leave the 9 to 5? I want to be David Green. And then he's like, I'm going to own a lending company. I'm going to own a property management company. I'm going to do all this entrepreneurial stuff. And everybody sat back and said, I don't want to be those hosts. And so for the community of one rental at a time, I don't know if you realize how much your name comes up, Pace, because what Mike has done is he's put together people to go, if you want a large portfolio where you're managing all of the maintenance and you're sourcing the materials and everything, go watch Matt the Lumberjack Landlord. If you want to do this lazy small portfolio with just a few that set you free, here's Dion. If you want to invest at a distance, out of state, here's Millennial Mike, a cop doing this currently today. If you want subject to, like that comes up, you're the subject to guy. So this is the community that goes for these things that you're doing. And there's, creative finance and a bunch of other things that people would go to you for. But I don't want any of that. Like, I wasn't kidding, kind of sick to my stomach that going, oh my God, you have salespeople and a payroll. And I retired from a W-2. I was running a CDL school. We had 5 campuses. I had all these staff and all those same things to do to run a business. I bought a rental so I don't have to do that. It takes me 2 hours a month to self-manage 18 units and live in one that I house hack on purpose so I can spend 5 months in the winter in Thailand. There's someone on my property. I know if there's a leak, if there's a power outage, if there's an Amazon package that's delivered. Like I'm house hacking on purpose. You don't want to be me. I don't want to be you. And there's listeners who are going to listen to you, listen to me, listen to Matt, Zuber, and they're all going to take one little thing that goes together in their amalgamation of what they're doing that gets them their goal. Their goal might be this huge entrepreneurial thing where they're going to be the next Pace. It might be their life is free because of a small portfolio that they can now choose, what do I do? And that's my goal for this. And so the takeaway is, and you said it almost exactly how I've said it 1,000 times in my videos, there is no one right way to do this, but there is a one right way for you.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing, is no one should copy 100% of what I've done. I don't know that anyone could copy 100% of what you've done, Pace, right?
No.
Definitely can take notes on things you've said.
Yeah. No.
And improve my investing going forward. Yep.
So Matt, like you guys know AJ Osborne?
No.
Oh my gosh, you guys know, he's so great. So he's self-storage guy, big self-storage guy. You should have Zuber, I'll introduce him to you. He'd be a good person for you to interview.
Thank you.
Big self-storage guy. I want to stay so far away from self-storage because it's just not my lane, right? Like there's nowhere in my ecosphere that those deals pop up. And so I'm like, man, I'd like to learn that stuff. And so I'll be an LP in his deals. I'll invest in his deals because I'm like, I'm not going to learn self-storage. But I go and I'm hanging out with him at a mastermind the other day and he gives me one nugget, right? Like Dion, you just said something so good. Like we all take notes from each other. We all need each other. We all rely on each other for one thing or another. You find deals a certain way. I find deals for a certain way. And the way I look at that is I go, every single one of these deals starts out with something very significant, which is what? A seller who has motivation and typically has some sort of pain, whether you're buying it on the MLS or not. There's an underlying seller that has pain and motivation that your purchase solved their problem. And all we're trying to do is help as many sellers as humanly possible, right? We could be out selling soap and like MLM, like protein powders, not doing a net positive gain for everybody. But what is so cool is that even the way you buy through the MLS, you've helped a seller, whether you saw it or not. You've helped an agent feed their family. You've helped contractors feed their family. You've helped the title and escrow people feed their family. Everybody needs everybody. But I'm with AJ the other day and I'm like, Dion, I literally wrote down what you said. Like, I don't want to get any of you on me. I do this with AJ, but I'm like, I'm going to stay 10 feet away from you because when I'm at 9 feet, I get a little bit muddy, but give me the thing that is good for me 10 feet away from you. And he tells me how he's raising money for his big projects. And I'm like, that was the reason I flew 1,000 miles today, is to get that one nugget. And so guys, what Dion is saying is like, we can all take notes from each other We can all help each other. That's what this industry should be about. That's, again, like going back to my comment about David Green, like he has a responsibility. You're the biggest platform in the industry. You should like encourage collaboration, because that is how we all win. I need Deons in my life. I need lumberjacks that have big old freaking long beards. I need Matt. I need Michael. We all need each other. And I love that thing. I don't want to be too close to you because I'll get mud on me, but I also want to take notes from you and put them into my own world. And the way that people figure that out is they join a mentorship like your guys's, right? They join a community like yours and go, can you kind of chisel off some of the rough edges? Because I bet you most of what you guys are doing is help people identify their individual path. And Deon, to your point as well, is there one person in your life that has the identical business to you? And before you answer this question, is there anybody that you know that has an identical business to Michael Zuber? Same market, same zip code, same this, same that, same price points, same, time he was buying them. What about you, Matt?
No.
What's crazy to think about is that not one real estate investor's business is identical to another real estate investor's business.
Totally agree.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And as you're a new person, Deon, your thing is so good. There is one right way, but that is your right way, and you've got to figure that out.
Love that. Well, Matt, let's bring up the same question for you. It's been a couple hours now. We're trying to help the 99%. What, sitting back, listening to all of this, what are a couple of takeaways that you've had or you'd want to, kind of elaborate on as we kind of wrap this up?
I think it's really important to right size it. Right sizing is the way to go. Deon right sizes, Coach Carson right sizes, you right size, we all right size. And that's the thing that, is secure and time-tested investors learn and understand, is that we right-sized it. We have a portfolio that's as big as we want it to be. It's as big as we want it to be. Pace could be 3,000 units in a year if he wants to be. You could be 250 in a year. Deon could be 19 in a year if he wants to be, right? But that's the thing, is we all right-size it. So we right-size it. And that's, I think, the thing that most importantly people need to know is, what is that bullshit to money ratio? That's what matters. How much time do you want to invest in this thing to get the returns that you want? And Deon's plenty happy with his returns. You're plenty happy with your returns, and I'm happy with mine. And Pace is not happy with his, and they will continue to increase because he's broken like all of us are. He's just broken a different way.
He's way broken.
But the thing is like, I get it.
In a good way. Yeah.
I mean, when I walked away from my job in February, I said nothing for a year. I'm just taking a year and just figuring out what I enjoy outside of my job that's different than what I enjoyed when I had my job. And now it's just right sizing. It really is. It's a matter of, I got to spend all summer long with my kids in the pool every single day. And that's what I hope for everybody else, is that they get to the point where they can say, I love my job and I don't want to give up my job. And I also have the money to do whatever it is I want to do. Put kids in the schools I want them to go to, put them in the college they want to go to, take trips, go to Montana for 3 months and still be connected, but I think right sizing is the most important thing for anybody, and it's not just the size of portfolio. It's what is the effort needed and the time investment needed that's going to get you what you need in return. That's it.
Yeah, I just wrote that down. The BS to work ratio. That's such a good thing. And Deon, you brought this up too. You made the argument of like, I would make the argument that you guys aren't thinking big enough, right? In terms of like, essentially what Grant Cardone and maybe a Pace Morby, from an outside perspective, they're doing is they're running an endless race that there is no finish line.
Right. Exactly.
I would agree.
If you play golf, okay, you get, how many holes are in golf? 18, right? But
18,
everybody's favorite hole is the 19th hole. What is that? That's when you finish the task of playing golf and you're having a hamburger and a drink with your buddies, and you're enjoying the club and the view, and you're relaxing and you're living your life. And right. So I think it's funny to make that. I think it's a great argument. And I think it's just funny to think about. People go play 18 holes of golf so they can actually sit down with their friends at the end and enjoy their time.
Yeah.
The people like the Pace Morby and the Grant Cardone and maybe the Ken McElroy, what we seem to be doing is, well, I want more, so I'm just going to keep playing more holes of golf. Meanwhile, guys like you are at the 19th hole enjoying their hamburger, and we're out there just grinding out in the dark. And it is true. Who's truly happier? Probably the
Well,
person hanging out the 19th hole, bro.
Well, so that's actually what I was going to wrap up with. I loved how we opened with know thyself, but the other one you just brought up, Ace, and I think this is important, certainly important to me, right? Because you brought this up earlier when you go speaking at events and a couple of thousand units. When I did that, it was a couple hundred units. Everybody applauds and is happy for you, but when you go watch people after, they always say, "I can't do that." Right? It's too big. Right? Their minds won't let them. Like that's good for them, but we can't do that. And quite frankly, Pace, I've always felt like a failure when I hear somebody say, I can't do what you did. I am not special. There is not some unique gift I have, right? Maybe my superpower of focus and discipline is maybe more than most, but there is nothing I've done over 25 years that's hard. Everybody can do what I did. So that's why I talk about 4. And this is why your live stream got me, because you talked about 5. I want everybody to think it's possible. And I have asked literally tens of thousands of people over whatever it is, 20 years, can you get to 4? Everybody says yes.
Yeah.
That's powerful. When you got people like Pace Morby and now Brandon Turner, which, oh, by the way, somebody I can't stand, talking about 2, this is good. We have to build a middle class. The way you build the middle class is with owning assets. Owning assets with 30-year fixed rate debt is magical. House hacking, magical. Getting on the property ladder with a 203K loan like me, Kevin, magical. We've got to get people started. And if we confuse them with all of these big things and social media and the never-ending golf game, it doesn't feel like success to me. That's why I have said repeatedly, we got to where we were in 2018 and I chose to sit down. I'm on a mountain. There's lots of people above me. There's lots of people below me, but I am enjoying the vista and I'm trying to pull people up. I reserve the right to change my opinion. Absolutely. I may get competitive. I may go, you know what? I need to double it this year. I reserve that right. But at this point, my mission is not another $5,000 a month cash flow. It doesn't move the needle. It is uninteresting to me. I could already do everything I want anytime I want. And I live it. I show people on my YouTube channel. We just did a crazy ass vacation in Iceland and Greenland. We did a month in Asia. We did this stupid ass river cruise down, the Rhine or whatever the hell it was. It is important for people to realize what is enough. And the thing that drives me crazy about social media is it is the never ending race. Like that's okay. I think it's okay for the 1% of the 1% are lunatics, and it's amazing. And the Alex Hermosis and the Cody Sanchez's and the Pace Morby, awesome. For most of us, most of my people, we look at that going, that's a lot of work. That's crazy. I want people to get to 4. I want to strengthen the middle class. I want people to have time freedom. So that's what I think about every day. That's to Grant Cardone, because he would look at me and go, you're not big enough. I'm like, dude, we're playing a different game.
To be honest with you, I think privately he would not say that.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe
privately he'd say here's what he'd say. He'd say privately, he'd be like, you did it.
Yeah,
you freaking did it.
I think contentment is something that's massively missing in society. When you're content, you're happy. And I think people aren't content with the results that they've had in life. And I think that one of the things that I lean more towards Pace on this stuff is success is the journey. It's not the destination. And when you're on the 19th hole, that's a destination. You got there. But I get where Pace is at. For years, that's exactly how I was built. And then I just kind of got up and looked around, and then I had some friends shame me. And it just was like, it's these two, if you're wondering, Pace. They're just like, when are you going to retire? And it's like, I love my job until I didn't love my job anymore. And then I said, now I'm ready to walk away. And for me, I wanted to take this year, look at it, and next year I might make the decision that, you know what, we're going to go to 500 units or 1,000. I don't think that's the way I'm going to lean, because I think that honestly, I got to that point in life where I said, where success is a journey, not a destination. I enjoy the journey that I'm on with my kids. my young kids and being able to participate in all that stuff, because what Pace does is super hard work, man. It is super hard work, and it's a lot of work. And Pace, I don't mean to offend you. It's a lot of work for our wives. It's a lot of work for our wives.
Bro, I don't get offended at all. I think that the message that we've conveyed, and you are right. I had to marry a different wife that could handle me. Like I'm fully aware of that, right? I'm aware of that. Not many women, and I get a lot of women that will DM my wife because she's got a little bit of her own brand, and they'll go, "How do you deal with that man?"
Yeah.
Those women, they could never deal with me, and I could never deal with them, right? There's a right fit for everybody, going back to Dion's point. And I think I could throw a loop, right? As we wrap up, here's the loop. How many units do you think I will own in 15 years?
0.
You are correct.
Yeah, it's going to be 0.
It will be 0.
Sell or finance them all.
I will either sell or finance them all, or I will cash out refinance at some point. I'll 1031. I might even roll into like a bunch of triple net leases. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'll tell you where I put my excess capital. I give my money to a company called Lone Ranger. I don't get paid for them at all. They don't accept money, but I give my money to Lone Ranger. Lone Ranger's been around for 50 years. They pay me 12% of my money. They go out and they lend it out at 14% plus 2 points. And I give them $1 million. I get $12,000 I get $10,000 every single month from that company. Okay. So I go, all right, I know what I want. I don't want to own real estate. I'm buying real estate so I never have to own real estate.
Exactly.
That's the craziest thing for most people. Like when you're new, and on that Instagram live, what I was actually telling people, I go, the game is not even real estate. Nobody in their right mother freaking mind wants to own real estate. Even Dion, who only spends 2 hours a month, he's like, once my equity gets high enough, I think I'm going to cash out and I'm going to go put this into something passive and go, I have 0 tenants. I have 0 this. I have 0 checks I got to write on a monthly basis. And you're completely checked out, right? So for me, I've got the same mission as all of you guys on this screen. The way I'm going about it is a little bit different. You guys might be hiking up the trail. I might be motocrossing up the other side of the mountain, but we're going to the same goal, which is I never want to have to think about money ever again. And my numbers just maybe bigger, and my BS quotient. Such a great, I wrote that down, bro. I'm stealing that. I'll be like, Matt, the lumberjack freaking told me this. This is so good. My BS is I just accept more. Now, last thing I'll ask you guys, I know Michael's like, I got to go on with my day. If you had to trade one of these 2 things and only keep one, you give one away, you keep one. All the deals you've done, all the money you've made, all the economic, financial, fiscal success you've had, or the relationships, the resources, and the skill sets that you've acquired doing those deals, which one would you take?
Definitely the skill set, relationships, and by far.
Right,
I'll even not only with all the assets, I'll give them all the money too, and I'll start from 0.
100%. Because
100%.
now it's not going to take you 10 years. It's going to take you 10 months, right? Because you've changed as a human. So for me, I try and tell that to everybody, like, you're just going to become a different person. And Michael's 4 rentals is so good because at that point, right? Let's say they were hiking up a mountain. They get to the resting spot and they take a deep breath and they look around, they're enjoying the view and they go, do I want to keep going? Or am I happy here?
Right.
By the time you do 4 rentals, you might as well change your name and your blood type because you're not even the same person.
That's right.
Correct.
And your goals, your aspirations, your ability, your confidence completely changed. And so I'm on the same page as Michael. I will shout this really, really loud. Michael is right. Go get 4 rentals. And after those 4 rentals, reset all your goals or don't.
Right.
Exactly.
Pace, what's the difference between 4 and 40?
Nothing.
But system like,
but that's the power.
That's what they don't understand. Exactly. Because you
got to get them from 0 to 4.
Yes.
0 to 1's the hardest.
You can go to 40.
Exactly.
Not a big deal.
But if I go into an average audience and say, can you get to 40 units? Most people will shut down.
Check out. Absolutely.
It's daunting.
Absolutely.
That's why I texted you, Pace, when I heard you say 5. I'm like, yes, let's have the biggest voices out there. Give a number that 99% of people think is achievable and we could change lives.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying for. And then
I mean,
if you get to 4 or you get to 5, dude, if you choose to sit down,
yeah.
or keep going. It's
I mean,
okay.
pace is Barry Bonds, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to play baseball. Everybody wants to, and people want to know that they can make it and play the game. There's tons of guys who love their career who hit 235 and they got to play in the majors for 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're not in the Hall of Fame and they're not on every magazine cover. And that's good because they still got to play the game. And that's what mattered, because that money that they made playing the game for that 8 or 10 year period changed their lives completely.
Yeah. I want to close with this thought. And this, I actually saw this on Instagram this morning. I forget who it was. I want to give him credit, but oh well. The game of Monopoly. I'm sure we've all played it, and we've probably all played it in the last 12 to 24 months. It's that game. It's really funny when I sit back and think about this, being Pace Morby, who's allergic to having a job, where Dion and I are like only have a job, and Matt's kind of splits the difference. Can you imagine playing Monopoly and going around the board and only collecting a paycheck?
Whoa.
That's you can't win.
Nope.
You just fundamentally can't win. If you want to be wealthy or rich or upper middle class, you've got to own assets. There is so much magic in that simple game of Monopoly. You got to find a buy box. You got to know your things, all of these things that we all talk about, but you've got to own assets. If all you have is a job, that's a single failure point, right? So again, all of us here are go-givers. We all are trying to help people. I agree with being positive. We're going to go around one more time for closing thoughts. We'll end with Pace. We'll start with Dion. Closing thoughts?
So this is the way that I sum it up, because this is a video that I have coming out soon. It's what is success? And success to me, it actually comes down to one sentence. You can define success in one sentence. Success is the continuous realization of a dream. The problem is most people don't know what their dream is. When you're starting out, the dream is, I want a rental portfolio. Pace nailed it. I want a rental portfolio that provides something like massive equity that I can leave and go get dividend stocks with, or put it into work in triple net, or whatever you're going to do with that money. Is your dream to own real estate? Okay, know that. My dream was time freedom. So as long as I have time freedom, whether it's rentals that provide it, the equity from the rentals that provide it in some other format, as long as the time freedom is happening, to me, that's success. But each person's definition of their dream is going to be different. And until you know that dream, you won't even know what path to put your first step on.
Matt, closing thoughts?
Pace, thanks for coming and hanging out with us first. I think that people often wish for other people's lives. Like Pace was talking about jealousy. I think people often wish for other people's lives, and they have no idea that if they got in that other person's life, because they didn't take the journey on what it took to get there, they have no idea what it takes to live that life, and they would be miserable. And so I think everybody really needs to focus on right sizing what they want for themselves and for their families, and make sure that they're registering that BS to money ratio. That's the most important ratio you'll ever get in your life, because quitting my job and retiring and having the rental income to step into that I did allowed me to not think about a bill all summer long. It allowed me to be in the pool around my kids. It allowed me to start gymnastics and do all this other, not me, my kids. But it allowed me to do all of that stuff with them and be a great dad and a better husband. And after all, when you have family, that's what you're meant to be. You're meant to be those things. So, so long as it doesn't take away from those things unnecessarily, I think that that's what's important. And so I, appreciate Pace being here. And, as a dad of 4, for the younger parents and dads and moms that are trying to start out on their journey, it does take just 4. You can get to 40 or 400 or 4,000 after that if you'd like, but make sure that you're putting yourself in a position where you can actually retire and afford some of the things that your kids need, but at the same time too, recognizing that your job might not afford you that. And so it's incumbent upon you to actually take that step in that journey and right-size life for yourself.
Mr. Pace Morby, thanks again for being here. You have built the most amazing real estate community in the world, no doubt. You are the largest go-giver that I know in the industry, that I know personally. What are your closing thoughts, and bring us home?
Dion and Matt, great to meet you guys. One of the main reasons I wanted to come on here was actually to get some new friends and have new people. I've listened to some of your stuff that you've done with Michael. I went back and listened to a bunch so I could get to know you and your outlooks. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with literally everything these guys say, right? Just like I agree with David Green. Everything that comes out of David Green's mouth, I agree with. Brandon Turner, I agree with. AJ Osborne, I agree with. The problem is I can decipher what to listen to and what not to listen to. Kind of going back to what Dion was talking about earlier. It was like, I don't stand too close to me. I don't want you getting on me. And Dion, you brought something up. I'll tell a 30-second story. I go fishing with a guy out of Roseburg, Oregon, 4 years ago. He owns a company called carrot.com that a lot of real estate investors use to, we know carrot.com. And unbelievable guy. Trevor Mock is his name. So shout out to him. And I'm on this river with him. We're casting and he's teaching me how to fly fish. I'm by no means a great fisherman. I just love to be out there with a buddy and, talking work while doing something fun. And I said, man, do you ever think that you live a life like this? Like you live on the river that everybody in the world flies to. Like you live on a world-class river that everybody else would die to live on. You ever think that this was possible for you? He goes, I think this was possible. I wrote it down. I have this book I wrote to myself called The Perfect Day. I go, huh? What do you mean? He says, I literally wrote down what time I wake up. When I wake up, what's the first smell I smell? What's the first thing I see? What's the first words that come out of my mouth? Who am I saying it to? What am I wearing? Color of my sheets. Literally, this guy painted a movie of his life and he wrote like 200 pages thick. It took him to detail out what a perfect day looked like for him. And Dion, this is what you're talking about with people not knowing what their success level is, right? And so they look at somebody else like me and they go, oh, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. But they never took the time to write down their perfect day. And so after we finish fishing, I go, you're so full of crap, Trevor. We go back to his house. He shows me like a series of books. I go, I thought you wrote one book. He goes, no, I wrote one book and then I accomplished it. And then I saw what was possible and I rewrote the book and I saw what was possible and I rewrote the book. And I go, are you serious? That's amazing. He goes, what do you think? Dreams are tattoos? Mm-hmm. I go, oh my gosh, it's such a powerful statement because so many people, Dion, are afraid to go and say, this is my goal. This is what I'm doing. Because they go, well, what if I change my mind? And what if this is not the perfect path for me? And what if this, and what if this, what if this, what if it's not the perfect tattoo? If I put a tattoo on me, I can't get rid of that sucker without pain and agony. So, I'd rather just not get the tattoo. Dreams are not tattoos, my friends. Write them down. And as you change, your dreams will change as well. Those 4 rentals that Michael Zuber is constantly talking about, once you get to those 4 rentals, you will not even be remotely the same person. You'll be able to take that perfect day that you dreamed of and go, is this still my perfect day, knowing I'm a different person with different viewpoints and different friends and relationships? Or do I need to recraft this perfect day for myself? And that perfect day, once you accomplish it, that is success. Going back to what Mike is talking about, that is success. It's not continually playing the golf game over and over and over. It actually is hanging out with your homies on the 19th hole and having a hamburger. So this was a lot of fun, guys. I'm sorry I talked the most because I'm a newcomer to your show. And so I word vomited a lot, but I appreciate what you guys are doing in the industry and you inspire me. And I took down literally a whole page of notes from things you guys said. Whoever is out there in the audience, hire these guys as mentors, get these guys as community, do work with people inside that community, collaborate with their people because they're obviously leading this industry in a positive, collaborative way. So thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for all you do. Thanks for reaching out. You are the inspiration for this session. So shout out to you for this. Matt, Dion, thank you for being a part of the Three Amigos. Guys, take care, everyone. Have fun. Like, subscribe, comment. Go follow all these folks. Later.